Chapter 1180. Massive Military Force. This event is already over. This supreme sacred body inheritance is really powerful. Zhou exclaimed from the bottom of his heart. This is a cultivation technique of the supreme will. Of course it's incomparably powerful. Bodhi Supreme said lazily. You got a chance to officially answer my questions. You're really lucky. Zhou chuckled. He also felt that he had taken advantage of him. Then it seems that in the future, my Lord Talent Crystal Fragment, and even my Lord Talent Sphere, can be used to cultivate the supreme sacred body, instead of awakening the Lord Talent. He thought for a moment and said, using the Lord Talent Crystal Fragment could increase the level of the Lord Talent. Cultivating the supreme sacred body could not only increase the level of the Lord Talent he had, but it could also awaken other Lord Talents on its own. At the same time, he could also become a supreme sacred body. Zhou had no reason to reject such a win-win situation. It doesn't have to be so absolute. If you feel that a certain Lord Talent needs to be quickly upgraded, you can also directly use the Lord Talent Crystal Fragment to upgrade your Lord Talent. This can also indirectly increase the efficiency of your cultivation of the supreme sacred body. It's just that there's no balance in your normal cultivation. You can make up for it through normal cultivation later. The Bodhi Supreme reminded. Moreover, I didn't ask you to leave these Lord Talent Crystal Fragments behind just to cultivate the supreme sacred body. When you need a supreme or even willpower Lord Talent in the future, you will also need a huge number of Lord Talent Crystal Fragments, or Lord Talent Spheres, to create a Lord Talent of this level. At that time, you'll think that the Lord Talent Crystal Fragment and Lord Talent Sphere you have now are nothing. However, you don't have to think too much. You're not even a Master God tier now. It's far from the time you need a higher level Lord Talent. The only mythical tier Lord Talent is enough for you. When you become a Master God tier, it won't be too late to start creating higher level Lord Talents. I see. Zhou was deep in thought. Cultivating the supreme sacred body required a large number of Lord Talent Crystal Fragments, or even Lord Talent Spheres. Creating a supreme or even willpower level Lord Talent required a large number of Lord Talent Crystal Fragments and Lord Talent Spheres. It seemed that he had to work hard to fight. Only war could allow him to protect himself, make himself stronger, and also allow him to cultivate the supreme sacred body and obtain a higher grade Lord Talent. I have one more question. Zhou couldn't help but ask. In the inheritance of the supreme sacred body, I saw a world that even the supreme will can't control. What kind of world is that? Zhou couldn't help but ask. In the inheritance of the supreme sacred body, I saw a world that even the supreme will can't control. What kind of world is that? Zhou stopped asking. He had a big heart. Even though he would plan ahead, he wouldn't be worried or anxious about something that happened too long ago. In any case, no matter how worried and anxious he was, it would not help him in the future. What was there to be anxious about? Since Bodhi Supreme had said so, he would just accumulate his strength obediently. It would be enough to deal with any accidents when he had enough strength. He stopped thinking and returned his gaze to the war summary. He saw the 152 Lord Talent Spheres. From the green bronze tier Lord Talent to the mythical tier 1, and only Lord Talent. There was everything. If it was in the past, he might have been very excited. But now, he had more than 10 mythical tier 1 Lord Talents. Coupled with the fact that he knew about the supreme sacred body and the higher level Lord Talent, he was no longer too affected by these Lord Talent Spheres. At most, he was happy. He was happy that he had the resources to advance to a higher level. Therefore, he did not plan to use these Lord Talent Spheres for the time being. He planned to keep them for now. He would use them after he cultivated the supreme sacred body, or prepared to gather the Lord Talents of the 10 Sacred Protection series. Then, his gaze landed on the Time Elemental Gem and the Space Elemental Gem. He couldn't help but nod in satisfaction. These Scarlet Empires had indeed brought a large number of empire-building resources. As for Divine Crystals, True God Tier Divine Crystals, Master God Tier Divine Crystals, Divine Artifacts, True God Tier Divine Artifacts, and Master God Tier Divine Crystals, there were even more than expected. Now that Zhou had the mechanical Elven, the Eternal Mothership, and various god-tier battleships, these divine crystals came at the right time. And those time elemental gems and space elemental gems were enough for him to upgrade his territory again. Then, he looked at the list of insight defections and the list of new god spirits. Yesterday night, the 312 lords of the Star Alliance under him had incited these scarlet factions 312 times. A total of 4,368,000,000,000 scarlet soldiers, 488,126 scarlet god spirits, and 512 true god tiers had been incited by insight defection. Even if 20% of these soldiers were given to Zhou, he would still receive more than 8,736,000,000,000 scarlet soldiers, 97,625 scarlet god spirits, and 102 scarlet true god tiers, including the 19.2 trillion new recruits and 10 god spirits who had just been recruited and transferred, as well as the new god spirits and true god tiers who had broken through in the war. The number of soldiers in his main combat army had shockingly reached 3,865, 6,647, 036, 656 soldiers, 126,288 god spirits, and 351 true god tiers, including the total number of troops and god spirits in the Star Alliance. The number of soldiers under him had already reached 7,276,830,612,001 soldiers, 597,679 god spirits, and 761 true god tiers. Zhou nodded slightly. Even though this number was far inferior to the total forces of the 50,000-odd Scarlet Empire and the million-odd Scarlet Kingdoms, it had already reached 120% of the other party. With this army, Zhou would be able to be arrogant in the High Continent. Most importantly, after 312 insight defections, 40% of the Scarlet Soldiers, the Scarlet God Spirit, and the Scarlet True God tier had secretly become his subordinates. Today, there would be another round of insight defection, and tomorrow, there would be another round of insight defection. He could make nearly 80% of the soldiers, god spirits, and true god tier of the 93 high-level Scarlet Empire submit to him. At that time, as long as he gave the order, the 93 high-level Scarlet Empires would be wiped out. Zhou could not help but take a deep breath. This was the power of 312 lords, who had grasped the legendary tier lord talent. It was laughable. AUS had clearly grasped a method to restrain him, the 10,000 Spirit Saint. However, he did not expect that his main target had not appeared all this time. So the other party did not have the chance to use that method at all. What was even more unexpected was that by tomorrow, Zhou's subordinates would be able to incite most of his subordinates to incite defection. Zhou's mission would have actually been completed when the time comes. Whether the entire King of 10,000 Kings event would end or not was already up to him. Everything happened too quickly. Zhou did not expect that such a powerful enemy would be defeated so easily. The only thing he was thinking about now was how to kill that AUS clone. AUS Chaos Scarlet Empire had yet to appear as yet. The ones in charge of guarding the borders of the Scarlet Army had always been the high-level Scarlet Empires. If he wanted to complete the mission given to him by the Supreme Will, which was to destroy the 100 high-level Scarlet Empires, led by AUS clone, his primary goal must be to kill AUS and the other kings of the empires. Among the soldiers and god spirits of the other kings, it was easy to kill them because they had insight defection soldiers and god spirits. However, the Chaos Scarlet Empire had never been incited by insight defection. In addition, AUS clone was also very vigilant. It would be quite difficult to deal with AUS clone from the inside. He didn't think too much about it as he would have the upper hand the next day. At that time, as long as he was prepared to prevent the other party from escaping, the other party would already be a turtle in a jar. There was no need to think too much about it. Then, he looked at the list of newly promoted god spirits. Chapter 1181. Nazario's Advancement. Supreme Conquest Effect. Upgrade Territory. In the mini-battles last night, They had killed a large number of enemy soldiers, the Scarlet God Spirit, and the Scarlet True God Tier. Therefore there were many new God Spirits under him. A total of 23,725 Legendary Tier Advanced Grade soldiers had advanced to low-tier deity level elementary grade God Spirits. In addition, 55 high-tier deity level advanced grade God Spirits had advanced to true God tier elementary grade God Spirits. Zhou was very satisfied after reading it. This battle had given his soldiers and God Spirits a great time. There were actually so many soldiers and God Spirits who had advanced to God Spirits and true God tiers. He carefully looked at the list of true gods who had advanced to the true God tier. Then, he seemed to have discovered something and frowned slightly. This was because he discovered that Nazario was also in the team that had advanced to true God tier. Nazario was now a true God tier elementary grade. As a legendary dragon, the Abyssal Holy Dragon, it would probably be able to protect itself, even if it could not fight head-on against the attacks of a Master God tier God Spirit. However, he still remembered that Nazario's inheritance of the Abyss Divine Dragon God Spirit had a deep relationship with that Abyss will. It was naturally a good thing for him that Nazario had advanced to become a true God tier elementary grade God Spirit. It would also give the Abyss will a chance to control Nazario. When Nazario received the inheritance of the Abyssal Holy Dragon, he had told him that he could suppress his strength and not make a breakthrough. Why did he suddenly make a breakthrough now? He thought about it and decided to contact Nazario first. Soon, Nazario's response appeared in Zhou's mind. Master, I had a premonition that the danger of my inheritance will not appear at the true God tier level. Instead, it will appear when I advance to the Master God tier. It's precisely because of this premonition that I advanced to the true God tier realm without permission. I was so happy that I forgot to tell Master about it. Nazario replied with some shame. Zhou frowned. As a legendary dragon, even if Nazario's intuition was not as good as the Chaos humans, it was still much stronger than most races in the myriad worlds. There shouldn't be any problems since it had this intuition. Moreover, it made sense thinking about it. The Abyss will was in existence at the level of will. Moreover, it was also at the top among the many will level existences. Even Supreme God Realm experts had to lower their heads in front of such a will. While Nazario might be an Abyssal Holy Dragon that had just attained true God tier, it would not be of much help to the Abyss will. It was normal not to be noticed by the Abyss will. It could only be of some use to the Abyss will when it reached the Master God tier level. Zhou, who was relieved, chatted with Nazario for a while more before cutting off the connection. At this moment, Zheng Yuanqi was walking towards him excitedly. Your Majesty, I have happy news to report. Just now, there are more than 500 trillion subjects, nearly 800,000 other epic tier heroes, nearly 400,000 legendary tier heroes, more than 100,000 lesser deities, more than 60,000 mid-tier deity-level deities, and more than 30,000 high-tier deity-level deities gathered in our empire's border cities. They hope to join our empire and become our empire's subjects and worshipped God spirits. Also, Your Excellency Zero also discovered the auras of 62 true God tiers among these living beings who want to join our empire. They also want to join our empire and become the true God tiers of our empire. Zhou was stunned for a moment before he immediately reacted. This was because his supreme conquest effect had been triggered. He had consecutively conquered the Blood Moon clan, the Ingos clan, and the Heaven Hidden clan yesterday. These three clans combined had 30 Empire Tier Lord factions. After that, Bai Yin led her army and eliminated 7 high-level Empire Tier Lord factions. He had also obtained 13 mythical reputation rating talents through the 2 Lord announcements yesterday. It was precisely because of the addition of these talents and the influence of his common people's regal title that so many subjects, God spirits, and even true God tier had joined his blazing sun empire. Double blessings. Zhou was delighted. Set him up with all our might. Report again to this emperor after the results are tabulated. Zhou was overjoyed and immediately told Zheng Yuanqi. Yes, Your Majesty. Zheng Yuanqi said respectfully before heading back to work. Then, Zhou continued to read the promotion list. To his surprise, he discovered that the Yellow Emperor and the Buddha Lord had also advanced to the True God tier advanced grade, Patriarch Lu, and he had also advanced to the True God tier intermediate grade. Zhou nodded in his heart. These 4 old human leaders had finally advanced. Then, he handed the other matters to Zhou managed to handle. He flew to the sky above the capital and looked down at it. He silently chanted to upgrade his territory. The next second, accompanied by 40,000 trillion units of basic materials, 10,000 low-tier deity-level advanced grade divine crystals, 100 billion origin crystals, 200 million units of space-time elemental gems, and 20 low-tier deity-level elementary grade territory tokens, 10 low-tier deity-level intermediate grade territory tokens, and 3 low-tier deity-level advanced grade territory tokens, they disappeared. Congratulations! Your low-tier deity-level intermediate grade shrine, Lord's Law, has been upgraded to low-tier deity-level advanced grade shrine, Lord's Law. Your territory has been upgraded to low-tier deity-level advanced grade. Your low-tier deity-level intermediate grade divine origin augmentation formation has been upgraded to low-tier deity-level advanced grade divine origin augmentation formation. Territory stone steel durability increased to 2 trillion/2 trillion. Your territory has expanded to 300 million kmx 30 million kmx 500,000 m. All fog monsters within the territory of the new territory have been expelled. Scarlet fog will not appear in any of your territories. You have received an upgrade reward. Mythical tier building blueprint treasure chest, low tier deity level advanced grade. Lord Talent notification. Your Scarlet Brood Mother can be upgraded. Lord Talent hint. Your mysterious caravan faction has increased. Lord Talent notification. The strength of the clergy of your life arc has increased. Zhou looked at the upgrade notification and nodded in satisfaction. After the Scarlet Brood Mother was upgraded, the Scarlet Brood Mother should be able to produce more than 20 trillion recruitment books and job change certificates tomorrow. Then, he looked at the material requirements for the territory to be upgraded to a low-level mid-tier deity level. Construction upgrade. 200,000 trillion units of wood, 200,000 trillion units of fine sand, 200,000 trillion units of metal, 200,000 trillion units of stone, 10,000 mid-tier deity level divine crystals, 500 billion origin crystals, 500 million units of time elemental gems, 500 million units of space elemental gems, 10 lower mid-tier deity level regional territories, 10 lower mid-tier deity level god spirits, 10,000 racial heroes, 10 lower mid-tier deity level elemental grade territory tokens. After Zhou finished reading, he had fulfilled all the other conditions. He was just short of the time elemental gemstone and the spatial elemental gemstone. He looked at his king's treasure box. In his king's treasure box, there were still more than 283 million units of time elemental gems, and more than 347 million units of spatial elemental gems. Nothing much, but I should be able to satisfy them all by today, and then I will be able to upgrade the territory again tomorrow. Zhou thought. Chapter 1182. Lord Talon Improvement. The movement of the Supreme Alliance. Zhou flew back to the shrine, opened his personal terminal, and held a video conference with Mu Gu, Zheng Fugue, and Carol Moali. The territory has just been upgraded. You guys have already felt your improvement, right? Tell me about it. Zhou smiled faintly. Mu Gu was the first to say respectfully, Your Majesty, the Scarlet Brood Mother that I'm currently in, has been upgraded from low-tier deity level intermediate grade to low-tier deity level advanced grade. The number of Mist Mothers evolved from the low-tier deity level advanced grade Scarlet Brood Mother has increased from 50,000 to 70,000. Every Mist Mother world can now nurture 100 million fog monsters. 70,000 Mist Mothers can nurture a total of 7 trillion fog monsters. In addition, the quality and efficiency of cultivating high-quality Scarlet Heirs has also increased. Currently, I can at most nurture a Scarlet God Spirit below the high-tier deity level. This process will take about 3 days, If I want to nurture a scarlet descendant of a mid-tier deity level advanced grade, it will only take about a day. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. This improvement was not bad. Among your 70,000 mist mothers, you left 10,000 to specially nurture the iron-eating bear and the withered tree. As for the other 60,000 mist mothers, 30,000 will be used to nurture the violent storm demon spirit, and the other 30,000 will be used to nurture the yellow talisman Dao soldier. A total of 60,000 mist mothers could nurture a total of 6 trillion ranch monsters. With the help of the King of Loots, he could obtain 9 trillion yellow talisman Dao soldier recruitment books, 9 trillion yellow talisman Dao soldier class change certificates, 9 trillion violent storm spirit recruitment books, and 9 trillion violent storm spirit class change certificates tomorrow. If he converted all these recruitment books into new recruits, he would have a total of 36 trillion soldiers, which was 36 trillion soldiers. He only had 38 trillion troops under him. He would be transformed by the Scarlet Broodmother the next day. I've only improved by a small level, but I've obtained such a huge improvement. Looks like one day, I'll be able to transform into 100 trillion soldiers. Zhou could not help but think. Then, a smile appeared on his face. Yes, Your Majesty, Mugu said respectfully. Then, in the video, Zheng Fuguei said with a smile, Your Majesty, now, the number of mysterious merchant has increased from 200 million to 300 million after our territory was promoted to low-tier deity level advanced grade. The number of carriages transporting goods has also increased to 300 million. All of us mysterious merchants' strength has also increased to low-tier deity level advanced grade. Our treasure hunting ability has increased again. In the future, when we go out to do business, we should be able to bring back at least 100 treasures each time. Moreover, the quality of each treasure is comparable to a god-tier treasure. Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. 300 million low-tier deity level advanced grade god spirits. Even if it was a living god spirit, such a large group of god spirits together was still an extremely shocking battle power. Unfortunately, as mysterious merchant, they not only represented Zhou, but also represented the mysterious merchant chamber of commerce, an extremely huge and mysterious organization in the myriad worlds. In the face of war, they could only be neutral and could not fight for themselves. Otherwise, his power could totally increase by several times with the help of the mysterious merchant. After Zheng Fuguei finished speaking, Carol Moeli continued, Your Majesty. Your Majesty, after the territory was upgraded to the low-tier deity level intermediate grade, our life arc already has 500 billion clergymen, 500 billion priests, 500 billion nuns, and 5,000 billion life holy knights. These clergymen are enough to complete the war healing missions and resurrection missions of quadrillions of troops. Also, currently, there are 10,000 high-level divine duty members of the Life Arc's God Spirit level. Every one of them has mastered the resurrection spells, and they can resurrect the deities of our country alone. As for my strength, I'm still at the true God tier intermediate grade. It can revive any god spirits below the master god tier level. Zhou nodded slightly. Then, he chatted with the three of them for a while before ending the video call. He sat quietly on the throne for a while before suddenly asking, Zero, are there any movements from the Lords of the Supreme Alliance and the myriad races? As a consciousness incarnation of the Master God tier, Zero's intelligence exceeded that of any Machina race in the myriad worlds. Zhou naturally wouldn't let this top-notch intelligent life form off. Therefore, after he arrived at the Blazing Sun Empire, Zhou handed over all the intelligence systems of the Blazing Sun Empire to Zero to manage. Zhou had also handed over all the work that Wuxia had done in the past to Zero. As a mechanical elven, Wuxia should focus on combat. This would not waste the other party's talent. Reporting to Your Majesty, currently, most of the races and factions in the Supreme Alliance, led by the original spirit race, are not taking the initiative to participate in the special event of the tribulation of 10,000 races. Even though they had already led their armies out of their respective territories and were rushing towards the Blazing Sun Empire, their marching speed was extremely slow. they would probably only reach the territory of the Blazing Sun Empire tomorrow night. As for the Lord of all races, even though your Majesty has already said that you won't have any arrangements for them, they value the key targets mentioned by the Supreme will very much. Currently, they are rushing towards our territory with all their might. However, because their means of transportation are too low level, the Lord faction that will be able to arrive the fastest will need to arrive at our Blazing Sun Empire tomorrow morning. Zhou was speechless. This group of races was not active in the battle. Instead, the weak lords of all races were rushing to die. Did they really think that the god spirits and soldiers of AUS were jealous? As for the key targets, after verification by Zhou Fight, they were confirmed to be the targets of the Eye of the Heaven's anger. Zhou and Zhou Zhan did not care much about these goals. This was because they had already decided to destroy the 100 high-level Scarlet Empires led by Aus. Those key targets would be dealt with in passing, and they would not specially look for them. Then, he frowned and asked in puzzlement, "Are these fellows from the Supreme Alliance going to risk the punishment of reducing the luck of their race, and drag it out until the end before coming to resist these Scarlet armies?" "Your Majesty, as far as I know, the factions of the Supreme Alliance know that you have already sent troops to launch a sneak attack on the Scarlet Army led by Aus. According to the data, there is an 83.9% chance that the other party wanted to wait until you were destroyed by the Scarlet Army before coming to help resist the invading Scarlet Army. This way, not only could they eliminate you, the greatest threat to them, and ascend to the Lord of all races, they would also not violate the special requirements of the Supreme Will. There is a 16% chance that they wanted to attack at the last moment. This way, not only could they destroy most of your soldiers, they could also protect their own lives and leave them alone. This way, they would not be a threat to the lords of all races, and could complete the mission of the Supreme Will. The last 0.1% probability includes other possibilities." Zhou sneered. Chapter 1183, Counterattack of the Empire's Rulers. Eternal Holy Land. These guys are dreaming. However, they might not have expected that when they faced this enemy that was hundreds of times stronger than them, not only would their lives be in danger, he would also make use of this crisis to eat their fill. He would even have the ability to decide when this King of 10,000 Kings event would end. His Blazing Sun Empire would become a true behemoth that many Divine Kingdom lords would fear after this event. It would be enough to dominate the heavens. Just as well, so be it. It just so happens that I've used up all my insight defections. Zhou muttered to himself. As for the lords of all races, their strength posed no threat to Zhou, or those high-level Scarlet Empires, so Zhou was not worried that they would affect his activity mission. Time passed quickly. It was already the next night in the blink of an eye. In the Scarlet Army, the war conference room of the Chaos Scarlet Empire's base, 93 high-level kings of the Scarlet Empire were gathered here. Their expressions were gloomy, and the atmosphere in the conference room seemed a little oppressive. The king of the Demon Slaughter Scarlet Empire, the Demon Slaughter Lord, was finally the first to speak to Aus. He suppressed the anger in his voice. "Our wise excellency AUS, do we have to watch helplessly as the army of the common people's regal continuously launches sneak attacks on us? Our Demon Slaughter Scarlet Empire has already lost more than 300 billion Scarlet soldiers, more than 8,000 Scarlet God spirits, and 3 Scarlet True God tiers, because of your defensive counterattack order. And this is the loss of a high-level Scarlet Empire. The entire army of the Scarlet Alliance has already lost 6% of their Scarlet soldiers. Almost half of the Scarlet God spirits and True God tiers have died. Don't tell me that we're going to continue advancing towards the Blazing Sun Imperial capital, and not fight to the death with them here." Towards the end, he could no longer control his anger, and flew into a rage at Aus. Even though they gave AUS his dignity temporarily, they were all kings of their empires. They were just allies and were not much inferior to Aus. Therefore, he wasn't afraid at all when he was angry at Aus. The other kings could not control their emotions, and complained to AUS, as the Demon Slaughter Lord spoke. Many kings were also very aggrieved and depressed. Who would have thought that they originally had such a shocking military advantage? But they were actually in such a sad position now. They had been beaten up along the way, yet the other party did not even lose a single strand of hair. Aus did not say anything. Now that things had developed to this point, he had to bear the main responsibility for this matter. Therefore, he allowed them to vent the anger in their hearts. After the quarrel subsided, Aus said, "I didn't expect it either. The battleship of the Blazing Sun Empire is actually a true God-tier advanced-grade battleship. Even though we have 100 times more soldiers, god spirits, and true god tiers than the other party, we can't do anything against the enemy's warship that is several times faster. Are we just going to watch them beat us up? I've never suffered so much in my life. This is the most aggrieved war I've ever fought. I won't give up." The other rulers of the empire said angrily, "There are only two ways. The first is to continue advancing towards the Blazing Sun Empire, according to the original plan. When the Blazing Sun Empire is destroyed, the common people's regal and his army will naturally collapse on their own. As for the second method," Aus said, "I've already set up ambushes on the way here. Now these ambushes have already surrounded the area within a radius of 10 light years. The common people's regal and his army have been ambushing us. Their soldiers' encampment must not be far from us. If everyone agrees, we can mobilize all our troops now and surround the common people's regal and his army. Then, we can seal the time and space, and finally use the strength of our entire army to ambush and kill them all. But there's a risk. I'm worried that the other party's true god-tier advanced-grade battleship has the ability to travel through time and space at the true god-tier level, or even the master god-tier level. If the other party has this ability, our ambush plan will probably be meaningless. I know that you should more or less have some master god-tier level methods in your hands, since you can represent the Scarlet Divine Kingdom behind you to come to the High Continent to fight. If you have the Master God tier means to reinforce the space-time seal, why don't you take it out now? Once we successfully kill the common people's regal, the king who brought out such a method will definitely be able to obtain more rewards from the Crimson Overlord. In addition, that common people's regal has many methods. Moreover, he doesn't lack Master God tier methods. When we start fighting them, when the other party counterattacks with Master God tier methods, I hope that everyone can also use their own Master God tier methods to destroy the common people's regal and his army in addition to me. After this battle is over, when you make a summary of the battle in front of Lord Crimson Overlord, you can also show your contributions to Lord Crimson Overlord and gain recognition. What do you think? With that, Aus looked at the 92 high-level Scarlet Kings. Among the 92 kings, 20 to 30 of them hesitated after hearing Aus words. They were all kings of empires with Master God tier level means, but they couldn't bear to use it. That was because a Master God tier technique was a rare national level trump card, even among the Divine Kingdom lords behind them. There would be one less every time they used one. The strength and fate of their empire would be weaker every time there was one lesser. This matter concerned the fate of the country, so they had to be cautious. However, in the end, the idea of contributing to the Crimson Overlord moved them. I have a small pile of eternal sacred land that can seal space and time. Even the 10 Master God tier can't escape the sealed space and time range of the eternal sacred land through space and time concealment. If your encirclement successfully ambushes common people's regal and his army, I can use the eternal sacred land to help you kill the common people's regal. However, that common people's regal should only be a clone of the common people's regal's main body, right? You should have a fate method that involves the main body, right? A transparent ruler of the empire, whose body reflected the spatial illusion, hesitated for a long time before finally speaking. As soon as these words were spoken, the other kings immediately exclaimed, "Eternal sacred land? Is it the supreme sacred land that wraps the river of time and space?" Not only can the legendary tier Eternal Sacred Land restrict the flow of the river of time and space, it can also restrict the flow of fate. Your Time Scarlet Empire actually has such a sacred artifact. It's said that the Crimson Empire has a secret law technique to ferry people in the river of time and space. It can harvest countless treasures from the river of time and space. Looks like it's true. AUS was also shocked. Then a smile appeared on his face. Don't worry. Of course, I brought the fate method that involves the main body. As long as you conceal time and space, I promise to turn that common people's regal into ashes. Chapter 1184. Space-time stagnation. Just as AUS and the other kings were discussing how to surround and kill the army, Zhou fight, Zhou marshal, 0, and the generals were also discussing their next battle plan. Currently the Scarlet Army, led by AUS, still has 7,753 trillion Scarlet soldiers, more than 14 million Scarlet God spirits, and more than 3,200 Scarlet True God tiers, after our repeated insight defections and sneak attacks. And our military strength, including the insight defection forces, is currently 9,112,125,936,881,906 soldiers, 798,929 God spirits, and 973 Scarlet True God tiers. Even though the current difference in military strength is still very large, the individual combat quality of our soldiers and the God spirits is very high. Each of them can fight against 100 people alone. In addition, we have the insider of the insight defection. Once the war begins, as long as the insider suddenly counterattacks the enemy's internal center, once the enemy's center is destroyed, coupled with the fierce attacks of our elite troops, even if the enemy has hidden trump cards, we have a 75% chance of winning. 0 concluded. Zhou fight, and the others nodded slightly. We only have a 33% chance of winning. In other words, there's still a certain risk, especially when we don't know how many trump cards the other party has. It's better for us not to attack easily. And we don't have to rush now. We have the Eternal Mothership. It's more than enough to protect ourselves. As long as we wait for the Supreme Alliance's troops to arrive, the main force of the Scarlet Army will naturally be dealt with by the Supreme Alliance. Even though the Supreme Alliance isn't willing to help us, He definitely won't watch helplessly as the Blazing Sun Empire is destroyed. Otherwise, they will violate the content of the event arranged by the Supreme Will. They can delay, but they definitely won't not do it. After the Supreme Alliance's forces restrain the main force of the Scarlet Army, we can carry out our war plan more safely. Bai Yin said. The other generals nodded slightly. What do you think of the ambushers? Zhou fight suddenly asked. Even though the ambush troops arranged by AUS were hidden very well, among them was a spy arranged by Zhou fight, insight defection. With these insiders providing him with the latest information, he naturally knew the ambush troops that AUS had arranged easily. He even knew the location, number, mechanical means of war, and so on. They're just trying to ambush us. We have the Eternal Mothership, so it shouldn't be a problem. Bai Yin said. Zhou fight thought about it and nodded. The Eternal Mothership's teleportation, spatial travel, and other abilities were all top-notch Master God tier advanced grade abilities. Among the Master God tier level, it was very difficult to find a method comparable to it in the entire myriad worlds. As for Supreme God Realm techniques, as a lord like him, if he could use Supreme God Realm methods, he would immediately tell the Supreme Will that a lord had cheated on the Crimson Overlord side. Of course, another key point was that his innate intuition didn't warn him. That was why he did not deny Bai Yun's idea. At this moment a low hum sounded. Subsequently, Zhou fight and Zhou Wu felt that their thoughts seemed to have become stagnant, causing them to be stunned on the spot for a second or two. After a second or two, they came back to their senses. They immediately activated the Lord's Law in their bodies and used the Law skill, King, to increase their strength to a level infinitely close to that of a Master God tier. Only then did they escape from the stagnant state just now. Time lockdown. No, it's space-time stagnation. What a powerful space-time stagnation. Even a true God tier is frozen on the spot. Zhou fight and Zhou Wu suddenly stood up from their scats and looked solemnly at all their subordinates who were controlled by the space-time stagnation. The two of them spread their senses at the same time. Then, they realized that not only were their subordinates controlled, but all the soldiers, heroes, and god spirits of the entire Blazing Sun Empire were also scaled by the space-time stagnation at this moment. Only the legendary dragons, the Abyssal Holy Dragon, Nazario and the Light Sacred Dragon, Ingersoll, were barely conscious, but it was difficult for them to move. Zero, what's going on? Zhou Feit said in a deep voice. Even though he had suddenly encountered a huge change, Zhou Feit and Zhou Wu did not panic. Your Majesty, even though Zero was only a trace of the machine god tier's consciousness, he was not affected at all. His voice was exceptionally clear at this moment. 1. There are top-notch master god treasures in the outside world. The eternal sacred land has frozen this space-time. Currently, most of the functions of the eternal mothership are restricted by the eternal sacred land. Moreover, the owner of the eternal sacred land has already discovered our location. We have already fallen into a huge crisis. Eternal sacred land? Zhou Feit raised his eyebrows. He had many top-notch bloodline inheritances in his mind, so he naturally knew what kind of treasure this eternal sacred land was. This group of high-level Scarlet Empire members indeed had an extremely high foundation. They actually took out such a supreme treasure to use. So, aren't we going to face these guys head-on? Zhou Feit said. Yes, Your Majesty. Zero replied. Zhou Feit shook his head slightly. Originally, he wanted to use Insight Defection again and wait for the Supreme Alliance's army to arrive before starting a war with them. From the looks of it, man proposes, God disposes. This war was about to begin early. However, he, who had the Battle Resurrection Scroll, did not panic. If they came, they would fight. The many trump cards in his hands were not to be trifled with. He looked at the generals and soldiers who were still in the state of space-time stagnation, and had an idea. Chaotic sacred power with the Lord's Law attribute spread out in all directions, with him as the center. Then, it quickly enveloped all the soldiers and god spirits in the entire Blazing Sun Empire. The space-time stagnation stayed on these soldiers, and god spirits immediately dissipated after a few seconds after being touched by the Lord's laws. All the soldiers and god spirits of the Blazing Sun Empire, including Bai Yun, broke free from the space-time stagnation state and regained their freedom. After they escaped from the space-time stagnation state, they did not react to what had just happened for a moment. They were still staring blankly at Zhou Feit and Zhou Wu, who had already stood up with solemn expressions. Your Majesty, what are you? What happened? When did you stand up, Your Majesty? Not good. Enemies are attacking. Everyone be on guard. Yuan Song was the first to react. She immediately looked out her true god-tier divine artifacts and looked outside the eternal mothership warily with a serious expression. Only then did the other soldiers realize what had happened. They immediately took out their divine artifacts and were on guard. Many people had already turned on the virtual exterior mode and looked outside. Then, they were shocked to see that their current location was not a starry sky, but a scarlet-yellow floating continent. On this floating continent, there was an illusory river that was billions of light-years long and reflected countless space-time phantoms. It flowed on this continent without changing since ancient times. The eternal mainland, the river of time and space? Yuan Song was stunned for a long time before it could not help but widen its eyes and cry out. As a member of the Shepherd's God race, he naturally had a secret legacy regarding this in his mind. However, this was the first time he had seen him. This was a supreme forbidden mystic realm, that even Master God tier could die in the myriad worlds. Even existences like the Supreme God realm could not come and go as they pleased here. Only existences with wills could freely come and go here. Why did they suddenly come to such a place? Chapter 1185 AUS Persuasion. You and your main body will die at my hand. This isn't the real eternal mainland or the river of spacetime. It's just a small pile of spacetime illusions born from the eternal sacred land. It only has the effect of spacetime stagnation. There's no real harm done to us. At this moment, Zhou Feit's calm voice resounded in everyone's ears. Yuan Song was stunned for a moment. Then it took a closer look and patted its chest. It heaved a huge sigh of relief and smiled bitterly, as if it had escaped death. I knew it. If I really came to the eternal mainland, how could a small true god tier like me still be alive? At this moment, Zero's voice sounded. The enemy's location has been found. The enemy is approaching us. 10 light years. 7 light years. 2 light years. 1 light year. 530 million kilometers. During the reporting period, Zhou Fight, Zhou Marshal, and the generals could already see the distant starry sky. Round after round of true God-tier battleships and other registered battleships were carrying hundreds of trillions of scarlet armies, scarlet god spirits, scarlet true gods, various war machines, and other war buildings as they broke through the layers of nebulae and finally arrived about a light year away from them. Compared to this, the eternal mothership that Zhou Fight and the others were on, as well as the surrounding 10 cosmos emperors, were as insignificant as ants were to an elephant. Lord of the Blazing Sun, Au's voice came from the scarlet battleship high in the sky, and his voice spread to the ears of all the life forms present. You have already been trapped by my master god-tier elementary great array, 10 directions infinite array, and the eternal sacred land. In front of you, other than dying on the battlefield, there's only one choice left: surrender. You're extremely talented on the path of a lord. You're the lord of all races that the Supreme will values the most. The king of the Chaos Scarlet Empire, AUS, and the Crimson Overlord behind me also value you very much. I know you're a regal. You're very arrogant, and don't want to be subordinate to other races. But are you really willing to give up your abilities and foundation, and die meaninglessly on this battlefield? Join my camp. Join the arms of our Crimson Overlord. The treatment you receive from Lord Crimson Overlord will only far exceed the treatment you receive from the Supreme Will. Frankly, I'm jealous of you. That's why I'll only give you 15 minutes to consider. If you still don't choose to surrender after 15 minutes, I can only follow the will in my heart and personally destroy you, a regal. Inside the eternal mothership, Zhou Fight laughed lightly after he heard this. On the one hand, he wants to pretend to recruit me. On the other hand, he wants to use these words to attack our morale. Unfortunately, the soldiers under my command have long used various skills, hero skills, law skills, and even lord talents to stabilize their morale at their peak. Defeating morale? Not possible. Still, since the other party was so confident he would fight them head-on, he said that he had 100 times more troops than him. Then, he would let the other party see what it meant to fight against 100 people alone. Attack! Let these guys know what it's like to beat the lord of all races and factions in the high continent until they tremble in fear. Zhou Fight said, "Yes, your majesty." X and the generals replied coldly. Even if the enemy had 100 times more troops than him, so what? It was not their first time experiencing such a crisis. After experiencing several war crises, they already had a belief in their hearts. They would be victorious in every battle as long as they were under the leadership of His Majesty. Enemy? Just kill them. Died? What was there to be afraid of? Bai Yin did not waste any time. She immediately arranged for the god spirits and armies of the various commanders to fly out of the Eternal Mothership and Cosmos Emperor. Then she quickly arranged the troop arrangement outside. In just half a minute, she summoned 70 true god-level army spirits, 9-headed hellhounds, and more than 100,000 god-level army spirits. These spirits of the military formation were the growth they had obtained after experiencing this day and night. Even though it was slightly inferior to the growth efficiency obtained in the time world, it was already 100 times the usual results obtained through training. Zhou Fight nodded slightly when he saw this. War. It was indeed one of the fastest ways for the soldiers to familiarize themselves with and master the spirit of the military formation. At the same time, when AUS and the other kings saw the army of the Blazing Sun Empire fly out of the warship, they couldn't help but raise their eyebrows slightly with surprised expressions. He actually escaped the space-time stagnation of the eternal sacred land. The common people's regal is indeed capable. So what if they escape the space-time stagnation of the eternal sacred land? Facing our 100x reward and the other party's military strength, they will only lose in the end. Haha, you're right. The kings of the Scarlet Empire laughed as they discussed. There was no possibility of losing this battle. Even AUS was the same. At this moment, AUS suddenly raised his eyebrows. This was because he saw two Zhou Zhous fly out of the Eternal Mothership. One of them is Zhou clone. Could the other be Zhou's main body? Zhou and his main body are here. That's right. In the current situation, Zhou's main body has to come. Otherwise, once he is defeated, even if his main body is at the rear, he will lose the possibility of rising again. In that situation, he might as well die on the battlefield. Ha ha ha. We can kill them together and complete the mission given to us by the Crimson Overlord. Then, we can carry out the normal invasion mission. When the Scarlet Kings saw Zhou fight and Zhou Wu, they were instantly overjoyed. So the target was right in forefront of him. Aus narrowed his eyes slightly. He felt that these two guys might not be Zhou's main body, but Zhou's clone. However, it did not matter if it was his main body or his clone. He had a treasure that included his main body. It made no difference whether he killed his clone or his main body. Lord of the Blazing Sun, since you've appeared, let me ask you, are you willing to surrender to me? Aus said in a low voice. Zhou Fight's expression was calm. Aus, you desire be defeated by this emperor. This emperor is not only talking about you, but also your main body. As for today's battle, this emperor desire definitely win, he said nonchalantly. His voice did not waver at all, as though the quadrillion strong forces was nothing. Aus face turned cold. Courting death. Looks like you'll have to take your corpse to report. Attack. Exterminate common people's regal and his army. Leave no one alive. Zhou Fight spoke coldly. Everyone attack. As for Aus, leave him to me. After saying this, he glanced at the starry sky. It was nighttime. The great lunar star was hanging elevated in the starry sky, scattering endless moonlight. Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu closed their eyes at the same time. Talent, Moon Demon activate. Chapter 1186 Huge Battle. 1 Boom 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 boom. The terrifying Master God tier pressure spread in all directions with Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu as the center. In the blink of an eye, it covered the entire battlefield. Not only that, this pressure also formed a world of its own, pulling the Blazing Sun Empire and Aus into this world created by the Master God tier. At this moment, both sides looked at Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu in shock. This was the first time they had seen Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu display the strength of a Master God tier. After seeing it, the Blazing Sun Empire side was naturally incomparably excited. B0XO. Calm on the other hand, Aus side had a solemn expression. I thought that the Lord of the Blazing Sun only grasped a treasure with the power of a Master God tier. I didn't expect him to actually grasp a mystic technique to raise his strength to the level of a Master God tier. Where did this regal Blazing Sun get so many top-notch secret techniques to increase his strength? If I'm not wrong, this guy's strength is only at the mid-tier deity level, right? Is the Lord's law really so omnipotent? It can even easily break through the Master God tier bottleneck. It's fine if we win this battle, but if we lose, this common people's regal is probably really qualified to lead the human race to survive openly in the myriad worlds. The Scarlet King said solemnly. The reason why Master God tier existences were called clan-protecting experts. It was because a race with a main god-level powerhouse was enough to protect their race and survive in the myriad worlds for countless years without fear of being exterminated. It could even allow a race to grow smoothly under the power of time, giving birth to countless experts and becoming a top race. Unless a main god tier was courting death, it would be very difficult for a main god tier existence of the same level to eliminate an expert of this level after all. Only a supreme god realm expert with a higher level of existence could easily kill a Lord God realm expert. However, such existences would not easily appear after all Master God tiers were basically the top experts in the myriad worlds. The races under the protection of the Master God tier would not be easily destroyed. They could grow up safely. That was why they were called clan-protecting experts. Even so, Aus and the others were not afraid. Among these kings, they had mastered many Master God tier methods. Even if Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu had the strength of a Master God tier elementary grade, they could still kill them if they used Master God tier methods together. At this moment, Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu, who had completely advanced to the Master God tier elementary grade at the last minute, slowly opened their eyes. The cold great lunar light shone on the two of them, making them look like the emperors of the moon. The two of them had a thought. He was surrounded by 6 Master God tier elementary grade divine artifacts. With a total of 6 Master God tier elementary grade divine artifacts, Zhou Feit and Zhou Wu felt that even if an advanced grade Master God tier existence appeared in front of the two of them would still have the courage to take a gamble. The two of them didn't speak as they rushed to the front of the Blazing Sun Empire's army. Their goal was very clear. It was AUS, who was in the middle of the Scarlet Army. Attack together, AUS ordered. When all the Scarlet Kings saw this scene, they also got their true God tier subordinates to take out their Master God tier techniques that they had long prepared and prepare to fight Zhou Feit and Zhou Wu, who were charging over. However, at this moment, a strange glint flashed across Zhou Feit's eyes. The next second, other than the Chaos Scarlet Empire, more than 60% of the soldiers and god spirits of the other 92 high-level Scarlet Empires suddenly aimed their weapons at their comrades beside them. Before the Scarlet Kings could react, they began to kill without restraint. In the blink of an eye, almost 10% of the Scarlet soldiers and Scarlet god spirits were killed or severely injured because they could not react in time. There was no lack of Scarlet true god tiers among them who had perished. What? The Scarlet Monarchs watched this scene with their mouths agape. Then they immediately reacted. It's the insight defection ability of the common people's regal? When did he bewitch our soldiers? We clearly didn't see the common people's regal attack before. It's the sneak attack from before. At this moment, AUS said with a dark expression. He never expected that to happen. He was already prepared. But the other party still succeeded in instigating the insight defection. Even though they were only insight defection's 92 high-level troops and god spirits, the rest of the Crimson Kingdom and the Crimson Kingdom were unaffected, and the main force was fine. However, they still felt terrible. This was because they were the most elite and core part of the entire Scarlet Army. The war had just begun, but their core elites had problems, which was a huge blow to their morale. There was no time to think since Zhou Feit and Zhou Wu had already charged into the Scarlet Army, facing its terrifying Master God tier pressure, not to mention ordinary Scarlet soldiers. Even the Scarlet God Spirit and the Scarlet True God tier did not dare to block each other's path. He made way for the other party to reach AUS unknowingly. A bunch of trash. AUS cursed then. He took a deep breath and took out a statue. He looked at the statue, and a look of heartache flashed in his eyes. However, he still pressed it against his chest. Then, he saw that the statue had been forcefully pressed into his heart. And after the statue completely fused into his heart, bang, 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 a loud heartbeat resounded throughout the entire battlefield. The surrounding Scarlet Kings watched in astonishment as AUS strength increased rapidly. True God tier elementary grade, True God tier intermediate grade, True God tier advanced grade, Master God tier elementary grade. AUS power had also risen to the same level as Zhou's, a Master God tier elementary grade. Then, he held a tricolored pagoda that emitted the aura of a Master God tier elementary grade. With a thought, he saw the pagoda rapidly smash towards Zhou. Zhou Feit's eyes flashed. Then he slashed down. Boom! This Master God tier elementary grade tricolored pagoda was actually sent flying by this saber strike. It smashed AUS, who caught the tricolored pagoda, back millions of kilometers. AUS was shocked. When he looked at his tricolored pagoda, the expression on his face became even more horrified. This was because he saw a huge crack appear on his pagoda. AUS was in disbelief. Even though the three-colored pagoda in his hand was not a Master God tier divine artifact, it was still an offensive treasure at Master God tier elementary grade. The other party could actually break the Master God tier pagoda in one strike. A Master God tier elementary grade God spirit definitely could not have such astonishing destructive power. Could the other party's weapon be? He suddenly looked at the weapons and armor on Zhou Feit and Zhou Wu. Even though they did not emit any aura and looked like ordinary arms and armor, his Scarlet Chaos human bloodline inexplicably gave him an intuition. That was a Master God tier weapon. Master God Tier Arms plus Master God Tier Strength. Even though these two duplicates of Zhou don't understand Master God Tier level nomological laws, with the nomological laws of the Master God Tier divine artifact, they probably have the combat prowess of an intermediate, or even an advanced grade Master God. Aus could not hide his shock. This Lord of the Blazing Sun had given him too many surprises. Chapter 1187. Great Battle 2. No wonder Lord Crimson Overlord wants to destroy him so badly. If he continues to grow, he will definitely become the right-hand man of the Supreme Will in the future. He might even become the Lord of all races. He muttered to himself. At the same time, just as Zhou General Aus was sent flying, he and Zhou Zhan also rushed into the encirclement of the Scarlet Kingdom's king. Seeing the arrival of these two enemies, the Scarlet Kings couldn't help but recall the mission given to them by the Crimson Overlord. As long as they destroyed the Lord of the Blazing Sun, they would be able to obtain unimaginable rewards from the Crimson Overlord. At the thought of this, their eyes immediately turned red. Kill him. Destroy the Lord of the Blazing Sun. Use all the Master God Tier techniques. Attack together. All the Scarlet Monarchs gave their orders almost at the same time. A portion of them even used their Master God Tier treasures to attack Zhou. In the blink of an eye, there were 8 true God Tier advanced grade Scarlet Empire rulers, who used Master God Tier treasures to raise their strength to the Master God Tier elementary grade. Then, they brought their respective Master God Tier treasures and attacked Zhou. The other true God Tier Scarlet also used their Master God Tier techniques to deal with Zhou from afar. Demon Nightmare Magic. A true God Tier demon nightmare from the abyss took out a scarlet rib bone. There were many black runes on the rib bone. The moment it appeared, it made the surrounding scarlet life forms feel very uncomfortable. He aimed the demon nightmare divine bone at Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu and injected divine power into it to activate the curse. Black runes flew out from the ribs and flew towards Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu. They imprinted themselves on Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu's bodies at an astonishing speed. When these black incantations appeared on the surface of Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu's bodies, the two of them immediately felt their strength begin to rapidly decrease. It was as if they had fallen from the Master God Tier elementary grade to the true God Tier advanced grade. Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu's expressions did not change. As they fought the 8 pseudo-Master God Tier elementary grade Scarlet Master God Tiers, they activated the chaotic sacred power in their bodies in an attempt to expel these black incantations. In the end, it was useless. Then, the two of them took out 2 Master God Tier intermediate grade divine medicines to dispel the curse. They wanted to use the medicinal power to dispel the curse. However, these black incantations stuck to the two of them like maggots. No matter how hard they tried, they could not be removed. The two of them felt that their strength realm was about to fall to the level of a Master God Tier elementary grade. Humph. Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu snorted and activated their supreme sacred body. Holy white divine runes that emitted a hazy white light appeared on Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu. These divine runes seemed to be the essence of the laws, containing the mysteries of endless laws. They originated from endless nomological laws, but they were higher than endless nomological laws and ruled endless nomological laws. As soon as these holy white divine runes appeared, these black incantations seemed to have encountered something of a higher level. They actually had a faint feeling that they were about to be absorbed. These black incantations were extremely intelligent. When they realized that they were about to be absorbed, they immediately wanted to escape from Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu's bodies. However, how could Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu ignore such an opportunity? They immediately swallowed another Master God Tier elementary grade nomological law enhancement potion to strengthen their supreme sacred body. With the help of the divine medicine, these black incantations could no longer resist the absorption of the holy white divine runes. They were forced to be absorbed into Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu's divine bodies. At this moment, be it Zhou Fight, Zhou Marshall, Zhou, or his other clones, they all vaguely felt that their supreme sacred body had been strengthened. So the supreme sacred body is the same as the myriad methods star palm. They are both moves that become stronger the more they fight. They came to a realization. Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu smiled. Even though the main body of the supreme sacred body had just cultivated for a day, even with the help of the Lord Talent Crystal Fragment, it had only advanced to the low-tier deity level intermediate grade. However, it could actually help him on a Master God tier battlefield. It could be seen how high its potential was. If it's a Master God tier elementary grade supreme sacred body, even if billions of low-level Master God tier elementary grades gang up on me, they probably won't be able to hurt me at all. Zhou muttered to himself. Back to the battlefield. Even though Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu had escaped the effects of the curse, they were still facing the siege of 8 pseudo-Master God tiers. Then AUS joined in and attacked the two of them together. However, Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu relied on the top-notch defensive capabilities of the Master God tier elementary grade armor. Naturally, they were extremely calm. Even if a portion of the attacks landed on them, they could not injure them at all. Soon, AUS and the other fake Master God tiers also realized this. Master God tier armor? They looked at Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu in shock. Did the Lord of the Blazing Sun inherit some supreme God realm's treasure vault? Why was it that other than Master God tier weapons, there was even Master God tier armor? Meanwhile, Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu looked at each other. He had to end this quickly. They relied on the mystic technique to raise their pseudo-Master God tier elementary grade strength. It was still too difficult for them to forcefully control 6 Master God tier elementary grade divine artifacts. It would not take long for the chaotic sacred power in their bodies to be exhausted. Even with the addition of the 3,000 divine court realm apertures and the Lord Talent, King, they would not be able to last long. Kill! A cold glint flashed across their eyes. Subsequently, Zhou Fight teleported to the side of a Scarlet King. This king of the Scarlet Kingdom was called Wu Li. He was the king of the Scarlet Kingdom, and was also one of the 8 pseudo-lord gods who besieged Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu. Seeing Zhou Fight suddenly appear in front of him, he was shocked and subconsciously wanted to counterattack. However, Zhou Fight directly slashed out with his saber to transmit the other party's attack before slashing down at him. A black saber river descended from the sky and directly slashed through the main God-tier divine power protective shield on the other party's body, splitting this Scarlet Empire king into two. The other party did not even have the time to say his last words before he died under this saber river. The Master God-tier elementary grade divine artifact in his hands was called the Infinite Heavenly River Saber. It contained 2 Master God-tier laws, the Heavenly River Law and the Sword Law, and also the Master God-tier law skill, the Heavenly River Fall. Even among all the Master God-tier elementary grade divine artifacts that Zhou had, this Master God-tier divine artifact could be considered top-notch. Zhou Fight used Heavenly River Fall to kill a fake Master God-tier elementary grade Scarlet God Spirit that didn't even have any Master God-tier divine artifacts. It was naturally very simple. However, he had also paid a huge price to use this move. He could feel that there was less than 10% of the chaotic sacred power left in his body. That move just now had used 90% of his reserves of chaotic sacred power. As he activated the king to replenish the chaotic sacred power in his body, he turned his head to look. Zhou Marshall, who was tens of millions of kilometers away, also killed another false Master God-tier elementary grade Scarlet God Spirit with the green scale splitting rod in his hand. Just as the two of them were about to continue killing the other pseudo-Master God-tier elementary grade Scarlet God Spirits. Everlasting! An old voice that seemed to have come from countless years ago sounded. In the next moment, Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu felt their speed drop by at least 10,000 times. Even their thoughts were fixed for a second. In that 1 second, countless Master God-tier level attacks landed on Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu. Even with the protection of a Master God-tier elementary grade defensive divine artifact, the two of them were still beaten until they vomited blood, and their bodies were injured to a certain extent. However, they were not dead. That was enough. A second later, the two of them activated the Lord's Law and dispelled the space-time stagnation state again. Then, they appeared in front of the king of the Time Scarlet Empire at the same time. Under his terrified gaze, they killed him with a saber and a stick. Zhou Marshall took the eternal sacred land that had fallen from his hand Chapter 1188. Great Battle 3. After Zhou Marshall obtained the eternal sacred land, he injected divine power into it without hesitation. The next second, the eternal continent and the space-time river illusory realm that filled the sky emitted invisible space-time fluctuations. Under the spatial fluctuation, the Scarlet Army led by AUS immediately fell into a stagnation. Even the 20-odd Master God Tier True God Tiers and King of Scarlet were rooted to the ground. Only AUS was protected by some unknown treasure, and was not affected by the eternal sacred land at all. When Bai Yun and the other soldiers saw this scene, they immediately realized that this was an excellent opportunity to fight. The generals and god spirits immediately ordered all the soldiers to abandon all their defenses and attack the Scarlet Army that had fallen into the space-time stagnation state with all their might. At that time, countless Scarlet soldiers, Scarlet god spirits, and even Scarlet True God Tiers were killed by the army of the Blazing Sun Empire. Those who were lucky enough not to die were also heavily injured and could not continue fighting. In the blink of an eye, nearly 1,000 trillion Scarlet soldiers, 1,000,000 Scarlet God spirits, and nearly 1,000 Scarlet True God Tier were either dead or injured. AUS widened his eyes and looked at Zhou Marshall, who controlled the eternal sacred land, and the countless casualties of the Scarlet Army. He felt so regretful that he wanted to bleed. If he had known that the king of the Scarlet Empire was so useless, he would have kept this fellow's eternal sacred land for his own use. Great. It has become the opponent's weapon instead. At this moment, Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu flew straight at him. He completely ignored the 6 fake Master God Tiers, who had fallen into the state of space-time stagnation. AUS was so angry that he wanted to curse seeing this scene. How much hatred did he have for him? He did not kill the 6 fake Master God Tiers who were waiting to die, yet he specially came to kill him, who was not restricted by the eternal sacred land. Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu were about to reach him. AUS did not have time to think, so he suddenly disappeared. It was as if the other party no longer existed in the vast high continent. Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu had the supreme sacred body and the chaos human bloodline. Their 6 senses were shockingly sensitive, yet they could not sense where the other party was. Zhou Fight immediately took out the Bodhi Supreme from his king's treasure box. "Where is AUS clone?" he asked directly. "You really know how to cheat." One ordinary question. Bodhi Supreme said helplessly. "Sure." Zhou Fight said without hesitation. "Over there." As soon as Bodhi Supreme finished speaking, he saw AUS holding a gray umbrella in his right hand in the distant sky. He was looking at the Bodhi Supreme in his hands in shock and disbelief. "The Bodhi Supreme?" he said in disbelief. This supreme treasure that existed more than 10,000 years ago, and attracted the covetous eyes of countless races. Even AUS had only seen it in a secret ancient book in the treasure vault of the chaotic Scarlet Empire. He never expected that this thing would actually appear in the hands of the Lord of the Blazing Sun. Wasn't this thing long gone with the disappearance of the illusory life race? He was extremely puzzled. However, he also realized that his hiding technique had been seen through. He had to hide again. You have to catch him quickly. Otherwise, he will have to hide again. Then you'll have to waste another chance to answer ordinary questions. Otherwise, you can also use an official question to resolve your doubts. I can teach you a Master God Tier mystic technique, so that you can see through his concealment technique. The Bodhi Supreme said lazily. "No need," Zhou Fight said. Then he looked at AUS, who was about to disappear, and immediately activated Thief of Heart. A text notification immediately appeared. Current items that can be stolen. Heart of the Thousand World item. Contains a large number of treasures. Success rate of stealing, 95%. 1 True God Tier Divine Artifact. Heaven Ascending Boots. Success rate of stealing, 94%. 1 True God Tier Divine Artifact. 1000 Illusion Divine Seal. Success rate of stealing, 95%. 1 True God Tier Intermediate Grade Divine Artifact. Chaos Magic Armor. Success rate of stealing, 94%. 1 Master God Tier Divine Artifact. Chaos Corpse Statue. Success rate of stealing, 90%. 1 Master God Tier Divine Crystal Formation. 10 Directions Infinite World Formation. Success rate of stealing, 90%. 1 Master God Tier Intermediate Grade Divine Artifact, Fate Scarecrow, Success Rate of Stealing, 85%. 1 Master God Tier Advanced Treasure Pseudo Reverse Path Wheel, Success Rate of Stealing, 80%. 1 Master God Tier Advanced Grade Treasure Pseudo Heaven Shielding Umbrella, Success Rate of Stealing, 80%. 8 Master God Tier Elementary Grade Divine Crystals, Success Rate of Stealing, 99%. 5 Master God Tier Intermediate Grade Divine Crystals, Success Rate of Stealing, 99%. 3 Master God Tier Advanced Grade Divine Crystals, Success Rate of Stealing, 99%. Zhou took a rough look and could not help but be shocked. This AUS is actually so wealthy? It is clearly just a clone, but it actually brought along an entire set of true God Tier divine artifacts and 4 Master God Tier treasures. Aren't you afraid of dying in battle and falling into the hands of the enemy? Or could it be that while AUS knew that this invasion of the High Continent was of the utmost importance, he cherished his life even more? Therefore, he would rather hang all these treasures on his clone than let his main body take the risk. Zhou felt that his guess should be near to the truth. There was no time to think. Zhou roughly took a look at the effects of these treasures before locking his gaze on the Master God Tier Advanced Grade Treasure. Pseudo Sky Shielding Umbrella. Treasure Name: Pseudo Sky Shielding Umbrella. Treasure Grade: Master God Tier Advanced Grade. Treasure Effect: a replica of the Supreme Divine Artifact, the Sky Shielding Umbrella. It can block out one's voice, smell, figure, aura, traces, presence, fate, and other treasures that might expose one's existence. It can block the detection of most master gods and below. Treasure Introduction: a casual creation of the Supreme God Realm. It fell into the Crimson Universe during a war, and was accidentally obtained by Aus. It's actually the creation of the Supreme God Realm. Zhou was shocked. However, he didn't think too much about it. Instead, he didn't hesitate to use the Thief of Heart to steal the pseudo Sky Shielding Umbrella once a day with a 100% chance of success. The next second, a gray umbrella appeared out of thin air in his hand. It was the pseudo Sky Shielding Umbrella. When the pseudo Sky Shielding Umbrella landed in Zhou hands, AUS figure appeared before everyone's eyes. He looked at his empty left hand in a daze. Then, he reacted and said in a panic, "Where's my Sky Shielding Umbrella?" He subconsciously looked at Zhou and Zhou Wu, only to discover that they had suddenly disappeared. AUS suddenly had an ominous premonition. Then, he saw Zhou and Zhou Wu, who were holding the pseudo Sky Shielding Umbrella, quietly appear behind Aus. Then, the two of them slashed and struck, severely injuring AUS, and sending him flying hundreds of millions of kilometers away. Puff! AUS spat out a large mouthful of blood. Swoosh! Zhou and Zhou Wu teleported in front of Aus. With their respective Master God Tier divine artifacts in hand, they ruthlessly chopped down at Aus' head. With this slash, even if AUS was at the Master God Tier level, he would not be able to escape death. AUS was shocked. "Wait a minute. Don't you want to know why I also have the Chaos Human bloodline?" He hurriedly shouted. Chapter 1189. End of the event and new event. He wanted to escape this calamity of certain death. He was only a clone of AUS main body. Even if he died, it would not implicate AUS main body. However, he had too many true God Tier divine artifacts and Master God Tier level treasures on him. He didn't want to leave these treasures on the High Continent. That would be an incomparably huge loss for him. Therefore, he wanted to beg for mercy first before escaping and returning to his main body. At the same time, he made up his mind that he would never provoke the Lord of the Blazing Sun again before he completely inherited the treasures of the Lord Talent. This guy was really too terrifying. He had already led so many troops to besiege him, but he was still unable to do anything to this fellow. Zhou and Zhou Wu sneered. "I have the Bodhi Supreme, so why would I ask you?" The two of them smashed him to death with their sabers and hammers without another word, and looted him at the same time. It did not trigger the effect of the King of Loots, as he had only killed a clone and not the main body. The spoils of war that he had just seen through Thief of Heart were of the same grade. However, Zhou Fight was already very satisfied since there were several very useful Master God tier treasures here after all. Then, Zhou Wu and him turned around and flew towards the other 6 pseudo-Master God tier elementary grade Scarlet God spirits. At this moment, they had already forcefully escaped from the space-time stagnation. However, because of the powerful space-time stagnation ability of the Eternal Sacred Land, their mobility and combat ability were still affected. That was not the most important thing. Most importantly, they, who had recovered most of their mobility, saw the scene of Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu joining forces to kill Aus. They were stunned. Aus was killed. Even though he is only the new generation's Scarlet Lord, with the support of many Master God tier treasures, he is the strongest among us. The strongest is no longer important. What's important is that Aus is the Supreme Commander appointed by the Crimson Overlord to invade the Supreme Continent. What will happen to our invasion of the High Continent if he dies? I wonder if we're going to choose a new Supreme Commander. I have a bad feeling about this. They saw Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu turn around and fly towards them right after that. This made their expressions change. Not good. The two of them are going to deal with us. What are you panicking for? We're 6 Master God tier elementary grade God spirits. Why would we be afraid of him alone? Attack together. The 6 pseudo-Master God tier elementary grade Scarlet God spirits immediately came to a consensus and charged towards Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu together. However, in the next second, Zhou Fight opened the pseudo-sky shielding umbrella and instantly disappeared. Destroy the other clone. Even though they were shocked seeing Zhou Fight disappear, they immediately made the next move. However, at this moment, Zhou Fight suddenly appeared behind them and slashed into one of their bodies. The nomological power from the Master God tier divine artifact, the immeasurable heavenly river saber, suddenly erupted and directly killed this pseudo-Master God tier elementary grade Scarlet God spirit. Out of the 6 pseudo-Master God tier elementary grade Scarlet God spirits was lost. Kill this guy. They immediately changed their target and wanted to destroy Zhou Fight seeing that he had arrived in the middle of them. A few of the pseudo-Master God tier and elementary grade Scarlet God spirits' eyes were burning with passion. This fellow actually dared to appear in their encirclement. Did he really think that they were pushovers? Next, as long as they attacked the other party together, even if the other party was wearing a Master God tier divine artifact, it would be difficult for them to escape serious injuries. In fact, if they cooperated perfectly, it was completely possible for them to kill this clone here. At the thought of this, the 5 pseudo-Master God tier elementary grade Scarlet God spirits no longer hesitated. They all brought out their strongest defensive methods, and there was no lack of other Master God tier level offensive treasures to surround and kill Zhou Fight. Rumble! A large number of Master God tier level nomological attacks exploded in their encirclement, causing a monstrous energy shockwave. The 5 pseudo-Master God tier elementary grade Scarlet God spirits had no choice but to retreat hundreds of millions of kilometers away. After they stopped, they immediately widened their eyes and looked at the center of the explosion. Is the common people's regal dead? The next second, 4 streams of light that emitted the aura of a Master God tier flew out from the center of the explosion and charged at one of the pseudo-Master God tier elementary grade Scarlet God spirits at an extremely fast speed. How could these 4 pseudo-Master God tier elementary grade Scarlet God spirits have expected such a thing to happen? How did 4 Master Gods with such similar auras suddenly appear? They could not help but feel a sense of fear that was like an omen of death. This feeling made them instinctively want to escape. However, it was too late. Zhou Fight instantly arrived in front of one of the kings and killed him with one slash. Zhou Marshal teleported in front of yet another king and killed the coward who wanted to escape. Zhou managed shot in front of the king of the 9-armed Scarlet Empire. With the Xian Yuan divine sword in hand, he decapitated the other party and shattered his divine spark. Zhou Tianming quietly appeared in front of another king and shook the Master God tier bell in his hand slightly. When the bell rang faintly, the other party's temporary divine soul had already quietly disappeared. As expected, the remaining king was killed by Zhou Fight and the other 3. At this point, the 9 strongest high-level kings including AUS, had all fallen. "I'm late," Zhou Tianming said. He was no longer in the High Continent. He was doing a mission in a middle world called the Bright Emperor World. After receiving Zhou Zhou's order, he immediately put down the mission and rushed over. He had already done his best to rush over at this time. "No, you're right on time." Zhou Fight smiled and said seriously. "Next, I'll be in charge of maintaining the Eternal Sacred Land and the 10 Directions Infinite World Formation, so that the first 2 high-level soldiers of the Scarlet Empire, including the Chaos Scarlet Empire, won't be able to escape the range of the Eternal Sacred Land's 10 Directions Infinite World Formation. Just cooperate with the soldiers and god spirits, and kill the remaining high-level soldiers and god spirits of the Scarlet Empire. We don't have to use all of them perfectly. We just have to destroy more than 90% of them. My main body has already asked the Supreme Will. As long as we eliminate more than 90% of the soldiers and god spirits of these 2 high-level Scarlet Empires, we will complete the mission." "Okay." Zhou Marshal, Zhou Manage, and Zhou Tianming nodded. Afterwards, the 3 of them didn't waste any more words and flew back into the army of the Blazing Sun Empire, slaughtering the Scarlet Army. This was because Zhou Fight and the rest had killed the 9 kings of the Scarlet Empire, led by AUS, and used the Eternal Sacred Land to restrict the strength of the Scarlet Army. The double blow to their spirit and strength had lowered their morale. However, because they knew that their forces had the advantage, their morale did not decrease too much. They could still persevere in the battle. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was already noon the next day. Zhou Fight and the others, who were fighting a bloody battle in the army, suddenly realized that the Scarlet Army in front of them seemed to have received some order, and began to flee in all directions. Just as they did not understand what was going on, lines of text notifications suddenly appeared in front of them. Special event notification from the King of 10,000 Kings. Congratulations to the Lord of the Blazing Sun for eliminating the top 100 high-level Scarlet Empires, led by Aus. The Scarlet Army is leaderless, and the Crimson Overlord has decided to give up on the invasion of the High Continent. This King of 10,000 Kings event has officially ended early. The reward for this event will begin tomorrow morning. After the event reward ends, a new event preview will be carried out. Lord of the Races. Latest event hint. This latest event will help the Lords return and protect the home of their original race. Please be prepared in advance. Chapter 1190. All races are shocked. The activity notification of the Supreme will appear in front of all the Lords of all races. All the Lords of all races were stunned when they saw the latest information. It is over just like that. The King of 10,000 Kings event lasted for a total of 30 days. Now only 22 days had passed, which was a little more than 2/3 of the time. It was over. Also, didn't you just announce the content of the King of 10,000 Kings special event the day before yesterday? The special event has ended early. It has only been 2 days. How heaven-defying was the common people's regal to be able to destroy 100 high-level Scarlet Empires in 2 days. Now even the high-level Scarlet Empire was so simple in front of the common people's regal? If this was the case, wouldn't it mean that even the beginner-level Divine Kingdom's Lord faction, the common people's regal, could lead troops to deal with them now? Thinking of this possibility, all the Lords of all races were stunned for a long time before hurriedly reporting this news to the races behind them. Then, they looked at the latest activity information and fell into deep thought. The leader of the race? They could even return to the home of their original race? Home of the original race? Could it be? He thought of a possibility, and his eyes immediately lit up. Soon, the various races and factions behind the Lord of all races knew that the King of 10,000 Kings event had ended early. After seeing this news, they were also stunned. That's not right. The Supreme will only announce the content of the King of 10,000 Kings special event 2 days ago. Why is it over already? Furthermore, the Lord of the Blazing Sun had personally ended this special event of the King of 10,000 Kings? If you're so powerful, what's the meaning of the Supreme will announcing the content of this special event of the King of 10,000 Kings? You specially informed us, in order to show off your prowess? If that's the case, then wouldn't it be a waste for us, the allied army from the Supreme Alliance that has already led our armies out of our territories and prepared to support the Blazing Sun Empire, to come here? That was what they thought. They completely disregarded their tacit agreement to go and reinforce the Blazing Sun Empire later, so that the Blazing Sun Empire would be annihilated by the Scarlet Army. This way, their allied army would be the last to make a move. This was timely. Their allied army had arrived. The crisis at the Blazing Sun Empire was resolved by the Lord of the Blazing Sun alone. They had become the most awkward clowns. This was not the most important thing. Most importantly, there was only one question in their minds. How strong was the Blazing Sun Empire of the common people's regal and him now? Therefore, at this moment, countless experts of various races gathered their divine telekinesis from billions of light years away and began to communicate. Is the Blazing Sun Empire of the common people's regal really that strong? Could it be that the Supreme will secretly made a move? Otherwise, how could the Blazing Sun Empire destroy all the Scarlet Army with just a beginner empire? You're wrong. It wasn't a beginner empire that destroyed all the Scarlet Army. Instead, it destroyed the top 100 high-level Scarlet Empires, including the Chaos Scarlet Empire, the other 50,000 high-level Scarlet Empires, and the million-strong Crimson Kingdoms didn't lose much. After the Crimson Overlord issued the order to cancel this invasion of the Supreme Continent, these Scarlet Empires and Crimson Kingdoms collapsed on the spot and returned to their respective homes. Even so, it was still unbelievable. That was the 100 strongest high-level Scarlet Empires. It was said that they even had the support of the Divine Kingdom's Scarlet Lord faction. Under such circumstances, how could the other party lose? A loss is a loss. Isn't that a good thing? True God tier Fei Yin, you're a lone master God tier and don't have any racial ties. Naturally, you don't care who's stronger or weaker among these lords of the myriad races. However, as the leaders of the races, the new lords of all races in our race shoulder the heavy responsibility of competing for the position of lords of all races and allowing our race to rise. Naturally, we have to care. I have a video of the battle between Common People's Regal's Blazing Sun Empire and AUS Scarlet Army. Do you want to watch it? Yes. Give me one too. 1 true God tier elementary grade divine crystals. Profiteer. Give me a serving. I've sent it to you. Send me a copy quickly. Alright. I've already sent it to you. Under the sale of the profiteers, many experts of various races obtained this war video in a short while. When they finished watching the war video, they were instantly shocked speechless by the content of the war video. This, Common People's Regal, is actually so powerful. 9 pseudo-master God tier powerhouses were actually killed by the Common People's Regal alone? And it's not the main body, it's just his 4 clones. Can't you guys tell? These 4 clones of the Common People's Regal are all wearing Master God tier divine artifacts. If I had a full set of Master God divine artifacts, I would even dare to fight a Master God tier advanced grade God spirit. Even a real Master God tier might not have a single Master God tier divine artifact. Where did this guy get so many Master God tier divine artifacts? If you count the Master God tier divine artifacts on them, the true combat power of the Common People's Regal is probably not inferior to a true elementary grade Master God tier powerhouse, or even an intermediate grade Master God tier powerhouse. It seems that we have to admit a fact. The human race, which we once regarded as ants, has now risen. With Common People's Regal protecting the human race, the rise of the human race has become a reality. It's too scary. The Common People's Regal has only cultivated for a short period of time, but he already has the combat power of a Master God tier? I kind of understand why the Supreme will disregarded the opposition of the myriad races, and insisted on choosing the Lord of all races to participate in the Lord of all races competition. The local lords of the High Continent will definitely not give birth to such a monstrous lord. Now there's a question. How should we deal with the Common People's Regal, who already has the combat power of a Master God tier, and the humans he is protecting? I'm ready to withdraw. My heavenly dream race only has the protection of a true God tier. And without the protection of a master God tier, I don't dare to go up and court death in the face of a God tier existence like the common people's regal. Who's willing to deal with the common people's regal? I'll retreat first. Even though my race has the protection of a master God tier ancestor, my ancestors are not willing to provoke existences of the same level easily. If there are any actions against the common people's regal in the future, please don't look for my race. My race doesn't want to have a master God tier enemy for no reason. A bunch of cowards. You don't dare to continue just because you've encountered some setbacks? The battle for the Lord of all races involves the future of all races. Once you give up, it means that you've given up the opportunity to fight for the future and destiny of your race. To think that you call yourselves the leaders of your race, you're a bunch of irresponsible people. If the common people's regal becomes the Lord of all races, he will treat the human subjects and the people of foreign races equally. You traitor! Do you know what you're saying? Do you want the Terrans to ride over you in your race? Haha. Everyone, don't be in a hurry to withdraw or continue. Look at Lord Supreme Will's latest activity. The content of the next activity should involve competition at the race level. If that's the case, the foundation of the common people's regal will definitely be weaker than us, a powerful race that has existed for countless years. At that time, as the race behind the lords of all races, we can directly exert strength to help our lords of all races. Even though the common people's regal is powerful, the human race behind he is very weak. He won't be able to obtain much help from the human race at all. Once the race foundation competition begins, the winner will definitely be us. At that time, the position of the Lord of all races will still be ours. That makes sense. Let's wait and see for now. I agree to continue watching. On the battlefield, Zhou Fight, Zhou Marshal, Zhou Manage, and Zhou Tianming looked at the scarlet fog monsters that were fleeing in all directions. Chapter 1191 Rankings. The dejected Elizariel. Are we going to let them leave just like that? Zhou Tianming frowned slightly. What else can we do? Leave them behind to continue the war with us? Zhou Fight shook his head. These scarlet fog monsters that escaped are the true main force of the Scarlet Army. If we go against them, we will only suffer losses. Destroying those 100 high-level Scarlet Empires is enough for us. Let them go. They all came from the Crimson Great Cosmos. They should be going back now. They won't stay on the high continent. It won't affect us. Zhou Tianming nodded. Then they turned to look at the battlefield. The soldiers and god spirits of the Blazing Sun Empire were returning to the Eternal Mothership in an orderly manner. As for the scarlet monster corpses and loots on the battlefield, they had all been collected by the Eternal Mothership's loot collection system and stored in the loot's warehouse. I didn't expect to really win this battle. Zhou Manage sighed. It's all thanks to my main Bodhi's innate intuition that I was able to upgrade the Master Thief's robbery gloves to Heart Thief. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so easy to win. Zhou Fight said. In the process of dealing with AUS Scarlet Army, this group of Scarlet Kings used many treasures with powerful war effects. If not for Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu stealing one item after another, the difficulty of ambushing AUS Scarlet Army would have increased by at least tens, or even hundreds of times. Indeed, it's all thanks to the many trump cards these guys prepared. We used Heart Pirate to turn their trump cards into our own trump cards. Otherwise we wouldn't have won so easily. Heart Pirate has indeed made a great contribution. Zhou Marshal nodded in understanding. Among the trump cards they had prepared, the strongest was naturally the small pile of Eternal Sacred Land. If they had not stolen the Eternal Sacred Land and used it to weaken the combat strength of this Scarlet Army, they would not have won so quickly. At this moment, Zhou Fight opened the faction points ranking. The details are as follows: Frowny Face first place. Human race, Lord of the Blazing Sun, 5,205 billion faction points. Second place, Original Spirit race, True Lord, 88 billion faction points. Third place, Shepherd's God race, Heaven Chasing Lord, 75.01 billion faction points. Fourth place, Chaotic race, Great One Lord 77, 718 billion faction points. 4th place, Myriad Spirit Race, Spiritual Venerable Lord 70, 096 billion faction points. After he finished reading, he smiled. The hard work of the past 2 days was indeed not in vain. The difference between him and the 2nd place was like the difference between heaven and earth. Then he returned to the Sun Kingdom, on the Eternal Mothership with the soldiers. The Blazing Sun Imperial Capital. When the Eternal Mothership landed above the capital, countless citizens of the Blazing Sun territory below cheered. They looked at the Eternal Mothership with zeal and reverence, as if they were welcoming the arrival of the god spirits in their hearts. The recruits who had just joined the Blazing Sun Empire, through insight defection, could not help but click their tongues when they saw this scene. Even though the Blazing Sun Empire wasn't a country of faith, it was still better than a country of faith. When Zhou Fight and the rest saw the subjects welcoming their return, they couldn't help but look at each other and smile. Wasn't they fighting to the death outside to protect this group of cute subjects? Let's go down, Zhou Fight said. Zhou Marshal, Zhou Manage, and Zhou Tianming nodded. Then, the 4 of them flew off the Eternal Mothership and arrived above the divine capital to receive the cheers and shouts of the subjects. Then they returned to the shrine together. As Zhou was currently cultivating the supreme sacred body in the time world, they did not disturb him. After they sat down and chatted for a while, Zhou Tianming stood up and said, I still have a Master God tier mission to do in the Minghuang realm. This mission can't be delayed. I'll go back first. A Master God tier mission? Will it reward a Master God tier divine artifact? Zhou Fight and the others exclaimed in surprise. I don't have a Master God tier divine artifact, Zhou Tianming said with a smile. But I might be able to bring back a Master God tier divine artifact for my main body. A true Master God tier divine artifact. The others' eyes lit up. A true Master God tier divine artifact. Zhou Fight and company still wanted to ask, but Zhou Tianming waved his hand and said, just share my memories. In addition, I want to take a Cosmos Emperor with me. Zhou Fight and the rest had no objections. Cosmos Emperor was only an advanced grade true god tier battleship. There were 100 of them on the Eternal Mothership. Taking one away was nothing. Then Zhou Tianming left. After Zhou Tianming left, Zhou Manage stood up. I'll get back to work. The King of 10,000 Kings event has ended. I have to make some preparations and issue some decrees in advance. After the main body comes out of seclusion, we'll discuss the new activity. If I'm not wrong, this Lord of Races event is to let us return to the Cerulean planet and unify all the lords of the Cerulean planet. There are also some other activities. We have to make preparations early. Zhou Manage said. Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu nodded. Do you think it's possible for us to return to Earth? Zhou Marshal suddenly asked. That shouldn't be possible, right? Zhou Manage hesitated. According to the information given to us by Your Excellency Yellow Emperor, the humans on Earth don't seem to have participated in the Lord of All Races tournament. Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu nodded in disinterest. What's with your expressions? With our current abilities, it's easy for us to return to Earth. Why are you disappointed? Zhou Manage scolded jokingly. It's just a pity. If Earth, forget it, it's better not to participate. Zhou Fight originally wanted to tell the humans of Cerulean planet to join the Lord of All Races. But when he thought of the cruelty of this war, he gave up on the idea. Zhou Manage smiled and shook his head before leaving. Seeing Zhou Manage leave, Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu looked at each other in tacit understanding. Then, they stood up together and rushed towards the Reincarnation Sacred Palace. In the past world of the Reincarnation Sacred Palace, there were countless Master God tier existences from the past. They were prepared to enter and sharpen their combat techniques with these Master God tier existences from the past era. After today's battle, not only did they not feel proud, they even deeply experienced their own shortcomings. Time passed quickly. The afternoon passed in the blink of an eye. In the afternoon, because of Zhou Manage's orders, the soldiers and god spirits of the Blazing Sun Empire were resting to recover from the damage and losses caused by the continuous battles over the past 2 days. In the face of such a situation, The magnanimous Zhou managed directly opened the empire's treasury and let the soldiers and god spirits, who had been injured or lost treasures in the war, exchange treasures of the same value in the empire's treasury to make up for their losses. At that time, all the generals and god spirits were even more grateful to their lords, and their loyalty increased again. A group of low-spirited female soldiers from the Elven Empire gathered in a mountain forest about 50 million kilometers away from the blazing sun imperial capital. The leader was none other than the original queen of the Elven Empire, Elizariel. At this moment, Elizariel's clothes were in tatters, and she had many injuries. Her aura was also unstable, and she looked extremely pathetic and weak. At this moment, astrologer Molt, who was also in a sorry state, was reporting the latest battle report about the blazing sun imperial empire to Elizariel. Both astrologer Molt and Elizariel were stunned with his achievement. Astrologer Molt could not believe that the Lord of the Blazing Sun mentioned in the battle report was the weak human lord who was reluctant to part with Nadia. Elizariel looked at the sorry state she was in and thought about the glorious battle achievements that the Lord of the Blazing Sun had created. Her heart also felt bitter. Do I still have the right to stand in front of him? She muttered inwardly. Chapter 1192 Cultivation Results of the Supreme Sacred Body. 2 Mythical Tier Unique Lore Talents. The Shrine in the Reincarnation Sacred Palace. Zhou opened his eyes. He looked at the surroundings of the sacred palace, and his calm gaze suddenly focused. Boom! A terrifying pressure that seemed to collapse the sky silently descended. All the non-lord talent creations in the surroundings immediately let out a sound that made one's teeth ache. Low-quality items were crushed into powder and disappeared. Only the divine artifact was unharmed. However, even the divine artifacts and true god-tier divine artifacts were trembling under this pressure. Only the master god-tier divine artifact remained motionless. Zhou ignored the phenomena around him and only looked at his divine body. Divine runes that emitted holy white divine light appeared on his body. Every divine rune seemed to be explaining the rules of heaven and earth from different angles. No matter what kind of divine decree a divine spirit walked on, as long as they faced any one of the divine texts, they would be able to comprehend their own path of the natural order. And there were tens of thousands of such divine runes on Zhou's body. A low-level true god-tier supreme sacred body. Zhou exhaled, and a faint smile appeared on his face. With this true god-tier elementary grade supreme sacred body, from now on, even if he did not use the Lord talent, he would not be injured at all even if billions of true god-tier god spirits suddenly attacked him. Among the true god-tier elementary grade god spirits, they were absolutely invincible. Moreover, this was normal combat strength. It was a completely different concept from the combat strength of the Lost Skill King in the past, and made Zhou feel more at ease. That's nice. Zhou sighed. It had to be said that as long as he was willing to use the Lord Talent Crystal Fragment to cultivate the Supreme Sacred Body, the cultivation speed of this Supreme Sacred Body technique was indeed fast. However, this was not without a price. That was, he had already used up all the Lord Talent Crystal Fragments he had, leaving only the only mythical tier, unique Lord Talent Sphere. This was a rare high-level Lord Talent Sphere after all. Zhou could not bear to fuse it into his supreme sacred body. Instead, he planned to open it and take a look. Zhou also made a decision because of this. In the future, unless it was the mythical tier 1 and only Lord Talent Sphere he planned to cultivate, he would store the other Lord Talent Spheres into his supreme sacred body. For the current Zhou and the Blazing Sun Empire, other than a few Lord Talents with special effects, the other low-level Lord Talents were actually not very helpful to him and his territory. Therefore, instead of keeping it, it was better to use it to increase the progress of the Supreme Sacred Body. Then, he took a look at his Lord Talent list. When he cultivated the Supreme Sacred Body to the low-level True God Tier Elementary grade, he seemed to have felt that a Lord Talent had awakened in his divine body, and one of his Lord Talents had also been greatly improved. He looked through all the Lord Talents he had and finally confirmed his goal. The upgraded Lord Talent was the Extraordinary Tier Lord Talent, Blessing of the 10 Gods, Wisdom Master God's blessing. After he cultivated the Supreme Sacred Body to the low-level True God tier elementary grade, the Supreme Sacred Body seemed to have sensed that he wanted to gather the blessing of the 10 Gods Lord Talents. It actually raised this Lord Talent by 3 levels in a row, and directly raised it to the mythical tier, the only level. He looked over. Lord Talent. 10 Sacred Blessings. Wisdom Master God Top Birth's Protection. Mythical, unique. Specific Talent Effect 1. Top Birth's Supreme Blessing. One of the 10 Master Gods under the Supreme Will, the Wisdom Master God Top Birth, has cast the Supreme Blessing on you and the wisdom-related professionals under your command. You and the intelligent professionals under your command will receive an additional 10,000% promotion energy when they work in intelligence-related jobs. Specific Talent Effect 2. Diligence makes up for weakness. When you and the intelligent professionals under you reach the limit of your potential, you can reach and break through the limit of your potential step by step through repeated practice, thinking, summarizing, consulting, and other methods to increase your experience and wisdom. Finally, you can reach a new profession realm. Specific Talent Effect 3. World Viewing Questioning Method. God spirits with intelligence can improve their comprehension of laws by walking through the myriad worlds and experiencing the rise and fall of all living beings, thus completing the breakthrough of their God spirit realm. Specific Talent Effect 4. Master God's Protection. The development process of your Lord's faction will not be hindered by other Master God level powerhouses. The Master God Top Birth will secretly protect you and your Lord's faction, stopping or killing any Master God level powerhouses who dare to come and have malicious intentions. Specific Talent Effect 5. Protector of the Divine Kingdom. When your Lord faction advances to the beginner level Divine Kingdom, the Wisdom Master God Top Birth will automatically join your Lord faction and become a loyal worshipper of your Master God. However, you have to promise him that you will help the Wisdom Master God Top Birth worshipper of your Master God. However, you have to promise him that you will help the Wisdom Master God Top Birth advance to the Supreme God realm in the future. Zhou's eyes lit up after reading it. As expected, the Lord Talent blessing of the 10 Gods, Wisdom Master God's blessing, would also attract Wisdom Master Gods to join their faction as worshippers when they advance to the mythical tier unique Lord level. As long as he raised his Lord faction to the beginner level Divine Kingdom, it would be fine. His Lord faction was already a beginner Empire Lord faction. Even though he was still far from being a Lord of the beginner level Divine Kingdom, it should not be difficult for him to reach that level with the level and foundation he had now. Moreover, even though his Lord level faction was still only at the beginner Empire level, when a Master God tier came knocking on his door, the Wisdom Master tier and the Master God tier would still come up to help. That was no ordinary Master God tier. It was 2 of the 10 Master God tiers. That would be of great help to him. At the very least, he did not have to worry about being ambushed or hindered by other Master God tier levels when he was doing activity missions outside the High Continent. How dare they come looking for trouble? They directly invited the Master God tier and the Master God tier of Wisdom to take action. Apart from making the Wisdom Master God tier his future Master God tier, the effects of this mythical tier unique Lord Talent were also quite good. Not merely would the intelligent professionals under him be capable to obtain more promotion energy, but there would additionally be a way to break through the professional bottleneck and even the God Spirit nomological bottleneck. This was great news for the life profession superhumans under him. With this mythical tier unique Lord Talent, countless high-level lifestyle professionals and even life profession God spirits could be born under him. Zhou was very satisfied. Then, he looked at the other newly awakened Lord Talent. This Lord Talent derived from the Supreme Sacred Body was also extremely high. He was at the mythical tier unique level. He glanced over Lord Talent. Twin mythical tier unique. Specific Talent Effect. You can set up a second independent identity of the Lord of all races for yourself. This identity will be recognized by the Supreme Will and is related to your first identity as Lord of all races. You cannot be seen by any existence below the Master God tier level. Do you want to start setting up your status as Lord of the 20,000th race? After reading it, Zhou raised his eyebrows slightly, and a look of surprise flashed across his eyes. This Lord Talent specific talent effect possessed the least text introduction among all the mythical and unique Lord Talents he has seen so far. That was not the most important thing. Most importantly, how might such a simple function of a second identity be evaluated as a mythical tier unique? Could the Supreme Will have formed a mistake? No matter how I look at it, it feels like an ordinary Lord Talent. It's too much to say that it's a white-silver tier Lord Talent. At most, it's a green-bronze tier or a black-iron tier Lord Talent. Zhou muttered to himself, his mind filled with confusion. Chapter 1193 Mythical Tier. The only Lord Talent. 10 Divine Protection. Machinery Master God Zero's Protection. However, even though he complained inwardly, he knew that the Supreme Will wasn't suffering from dementia. He definitely wouldn't make such a mistake. So, is there a secret that I don't know about? Or is it the hidden effect of the Lord Talent? Zhou guessed. Then, he carefully looked at this Lord Talent several times, but he still couldn't see anything special. In the end, he gave up. If he couldn't figure it out now, so be it. B0x. Calm in the future, when he used this Lord Talent, he might know what hidden function it had. Moreover, it was just a free Lord Talent. Even if there was no effect, he would not lose anything. Coincidentally, there's a high chance that the next activity of the Lord of the Races will leave the High Continent and head to the Infinite Worlds to carry out an activity mission. Perhaps this identity as the Lord of the 20,000th race can help me keep a low profile in the upcoming activities? Zhou suddenly thought of this. Then, he immediately understood. Perhaps it was precisely because he had this request in his heart that the Supreme Sacred Body gave him such a Lord Talent. Thinking of this, he stopped letting his imagination run wild and directly began setting up. The next second, a new text notification appeared. Zhou looked at it. Please state the name of your second Lord's identity. The contents of the other Lord's factions will be generated by the Lord Talent. After they are generated, tell the Lord. Mortal Lord. Zhou casually said a low-key name. Second Lord's identity is being generated completed. A large amount of information about the Lord suddenly appeared in Zhou's mind. Mortal Lords were also Lords of the Beginner Empire. But this Lord of the Beginner Empire was a Lord of all races from the human race on Earth. He walked the path of the Qi Practitioner Extraordinary Tier Profession, Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm, True God. His territory was called the Qingyuan Empire, and he was good at using a Khanate Numinous Treasure, Green Emperor Sword. He had many Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm, Grand Unity Golden Immortal Realm, and other immortal level experts under him. The reason why mortal lords were so strong was because the other party was the Azure Emperor of the immortal world in his previous life, also known as Heavenly Lord Qingyuan. In order to seek opportunities to advance to the Saint Realm, Master God tier, he specially reincarnated as a human on Earth and joined the Lord of all races competition this time. That was why he rose so quickly. Zhou's expression turned slightly strange after seeing it. This background story fabricated by the Lord Talent was actually related to Earth. He did not expect this. Then, he carefully familiarized himself with the specific content of this identity and realized that the many subordinates of the Azure Emperor that were introduced corresponded to his soldiers and ministers. For example, the number 1 general under the Azure Arch, Bai Yin Xian, who was at the early stage Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm, was the Legion commander of the Blazing Sun Army, Bai Yin. For example, Qi Jianhuang, who was also at the early stage Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm, was the worshipped god spirit of the Blazing Sun Empire, Qi Xiantian. Another example was the late stage Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm Shadow Ancestor, the worshipped god spirit of the Blazing Sun Empire, Tarokal from the Shadow race. The other subordinates also had their own identities. If one wanted to investigate further, they could even find out that the identities of every soldier were different. Zhou was surprised. It turned out that not only did he have a new identity, but his subordinates also had new identities. Then, he continued to investigate the effects of this Lord talent. He realized that the method to use it was very simple. He and his subordinates could directly change from lords and generals of the Blazing Sun Empire to lords and generals of the Mortal Empire, as long as he thought about the concept of changing his identity. As for the other living beings in the outside world, they wouldn't find this change strange at all. They would only wonder where the former Blazing Sun Empire had gone. And this upper limit was Master God Tier Advanced Grade. In other words, only Supreme God Realm and higher-level existences would be able to tell that the Lord of the Blazing Sun was a mortal lord. And a mortal lord was the Lord of the Blazing Sun. When Zhou saw this, he finally felt the horror of this mythical tier-only lord talent. This was forcefully changing the understanding of other life forms, or even the understanding of countless life forms in the myriad worlds. With this Lord talent, I can do things that the Lord of the Blazing Sun wouldn't dare to do or couldn't do. For example, interacting with those top bloodline races. Zhou was deep in thought. He suddenly had a premonition. This Lord talent would play a huge role in the Supreme Will event. I have to find an opportunity to plan how to use this talent, Zhou thought. Then, he looked at the mythical tier unique Lord talent sphere. Absorb, he contemplated to himself. The next second, this mythical tier Lord talent sphere immediately turned into countless 7-colored light spots and surged into his glabella. Zhou closed his eyes. A moment later, he reopened his eyes again after some time. Then, he immediately opened the Lord's personal information and glanced at the latest Lord talent information. This was also his 37th Lord talent. However, when he saw the new Lord talent, he couldn't help but be stunned. Then he smiled. This Lord talent is really easy to obtain. He shook his head and smiled. Lord talent. 10 sacred blessings, Machina God Zero's protection, mythical, unique. Specific talent effect 1, Machina God Zero's supreme blessing. One of the 10 master gods under the supreme will, the machine master God Zero, granted the supreme blessing to the mechanical creations under your command. The mechanical creatures under your command have obtained the eternal characteristic, where the mechanical creations under your command will not be damaged by the passage of time. When mechanical creations are attacked by the outside world, the wear and tear will recover for a short period of time until they are completely restored to a perfect state. Specific talent effect 2, AI life, is the eternal dream of mechanical creations, and also the god's domain of the mechanical race. The AI of your mechanical creations can easily evolve into an AI through learning. Specific talent effect 3, mechanical treasure. Within your territory, it will be easier to nurture various materials that are conducive to the development of machinery and technology. Among the subjects under your command, there is a chance of changing to an enhanceable life profession mechanic when researching machinery. Specific talent effect 4, Master God's protection. The development process of your Lord's faction will not be hindered by other Master God level powerhouses. The Machina God Zero will secretly protect you and your Lord's faction, stopping or killing any Master God level powerhouses who dare to come and have malicious intentions. Specific talent effect 4, Guardian of the Divine Kingdom. When your Lord faction advances to beginner level Divine Kingdom Lord faction, the War God, Terrence will automatically join your Lord faction and become a loyal worshipper of your Master God. However, you have to promise him that you will help him advance to the Supreme God realm in the future. TSK Tisk. It's actually Master God Tier Zero's blessing of the 10 Gods Lord talent. It's even at the mythical tier unique level. My relationship with the Machina race has to be good now, right? Zhou glanced at this Lord talent and touched his chin as he contemplated smugly. Chapter 1194 Master God Tier Elementary Grade Treasure, Chaos Corpse Statue. Battle Summary. A strange smile appeared on Zhou's face. Speaking of which, it was magical. He clearly did not have much interaction with the Machina race, and had not even officially met them. However, because of his Lord talent, His diplomatic relations with the Machina race had inexplicably reached the highest level, the eternal contract. Now, even the Master God tier was going to be his worshipped Master God in the future. He wondered how the Machina race would react if they knew. If I operate it well in the future, perhaps the Machina race will become my most loyal ally. Zhou pondered. B0X. The Machina race was a top race, and was considered a second-tier race among the myriad races in the world. It was on par with the Titan God race, the Elven race, the myriad spirit race, and other races. It was second only to the 3 first-class races, the original spirit race, the shepherd's god race, and the chaos gods race. If he could pull the other party to be his ally, his strength, faction, and prestige would rise to an extremely terrifying level. At this moment, Zhou suddenly received a message from his personal terminal. He opened it and took a look. It was a summary of the war from yesterday to today. He retracted his thoughts and looked at it carefully. From yesterday morning until noon today, Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu led by Yin and the other main combat troops to attack EU's Scarlet Army, a total of 120 times. In addition to the head-on battles that followed, a total of 1,325 trillion Scarlet Soldiers, 25,601,850 Scarlet God Spirits, and 1,506 Scarlet True God Tiers were eliminated. After this battle, he obtained hundreds of trillions of mist cores of various levels, origin crystals, skill books, equipment, basic materials, basic gem resources, lightning, life, and death elemental gems. There were also 10,333,960,2,503 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 872 legendary tier, and below Scarlet Lord Talent spheres, and a large number of other Lord Talent crystal fragments. More than 2,836,000,000 units of time elemental gems. More than 2,655,000,000 units of space elemental gems. 3,638,812,000,000 units of divine crystals, from low tier to high tier deity level. 289,612,052,900 true god tier divine crystals. 2,801,690 master god tier divine crystals. More than 960,230,000,000 low tier to high tier deity level divine artifacts. 6,981,250 true god tier divine artifacts. 796 master god tier divine artifacts. There were a total of about 220 billion and 100 million divine spark fragments, god tier medicinal herbs, god tier ingredients, god tier ores, god tier blueprints, and other treasures. 21,031,550 master god tier herbs, god tier ingredients, god tier ores, god tier blueprints, and other treasures. After reading it, Zhou smiled and nodded. The gains this time were not bad. It was not in vain that he had spent so much time and effort to eliminate the 100 high-level Scarlet Empires, especially the space-time elemental gemstones, which added up to more than 5 billion. It was completely enough for him to upgrade his territory to the mid-tier deity level elementary grade, or even the intermediate grade. At that time, he could also upgrade his Blazing Sun Empire from a beginner empire to an intermediate grade empire. Then, he looked at the list of insight defections and god spirits. From yesterday morning until noon today, the 312 lords of the Star Union under he had incited these scarlet factions 624 times. A total of 6,212,000,000,000 scarlet soldiers, 511,865 scarlet god spirits, and 315 true god tier had been incited by insight defection. At the same time, this morning, after Zhou swept through the Scarlet Brood Mother, he obtained another one. 8 billion yellow talisman Dao soldiers in one. 8 billion forbidden mage soldiers. In addition, the effect of the Supreme Conquest had been triggered frequently in the past 2 days. It had brought he more than 200 trillion subjects of various races, more than 2 million other epic tier heroes, more than 2 million legendary level heroes, 357,135 lesser god spirits, 241,505 mid-tier deity-level god spirits, 125,966 high-tier deity-level god spirits, and 262 true god tiers. Finally, there was also a small number of new god spirits and true god tiers who had advanced through war. Zhou's original military might was 9,125,125,936,881,906 soldiers. In terms of the number of god spirits, there were 798,929 god spirits and 973 scarlet true god tiers. Including the additional soldiers and god spirits mentioned above, the number of soldiers under him had already reached 15,224,495,208,906 soldiers. The number of god spirits had reached 2,035,466 god spirits, and the number of true god tiers had reached 1,562 true god tiers. Zhou nodded in satisfaction when he saw the number of troops and god spirits. Even though this number was far inferior to the Crimson Invasion Army, led by AUS at his peak, at least he wasn't as defenseless as he was before the battle. He sighed inwardly. War was a peril that countless life forms feared. However, if they could seize the opportunity to develop, it would also be an unprecedented opportunity. If he had only developed calmly, he would definitely not have been able to suddenly have so many soldiers, god spirits, and true god tier in just 2 days. 14:20 There are so many troops, god spirits, and true god tiers, coupled with my regular true god tier combat strength. Even if it's a high-level Divine Kingdom Lord faction, I might be able to fight them. The only thing I lack now is the Divine Kingdom soldier type. Then we can really start a war with a high-level Divine Kingdom Lord faction. Zhou's eyes flickered as he thought. However, after he pondered for a long time, he temporarily dispelled this tempting thought. Tomorrow was the day of the announcement of the new event. There was no need for him to cause trouble at this critical moment. Moreover, he did not have any thoughts about attacking the Divine Kingdom Lord faction. After all, the advance of his territory did not require the treasures of the Divine Kingdom Lord faction, such as Divine Kingdom tokens and true God tier territory tokens. Moreover, without a normal Divine Kingdom soldier type, this was his weakness. He still liked to do things when he was ready. Then, Zhou took out the few Master God tier treasures he had obtained from AUS clone from the King's treasure box. The first was the Master God tier elementary grade treasure, the Chaos Corpse statue. Treasure name: Chaos Corpse statue. Treasure grade: Master God tier elementary grade. Treasure effect: using a Master God tier elementary grade Chaos Human's corpse as the main material, combined with more than 100 Master God tier materials, to create a Master God tier possession puppet. It can be fused into the user's heart. At the cost of consuming the divine blood in the Chaos Corpse statue, the user will temporarily possess the strength of a Master God tier elementary grade. When the heavenly blood in the Chaos Corpse statue was exhausted, the user's might would return to its original level and fall into a period of weakness. Moreover, the Chaos Corpse statue would collapse and disappear because the divine blood was exhausted. Treasure description: a secret technique puppet of the Chaos human race. It can temporarily allow life forms to possess extremely high strength. As the Chaos human race gradually declined, this puppet gradually became unknown to all races. Current usage of Chaos Corpse statues. 1/1 Prompt: with the enhancement of your Collector Lord talent, the current usage of the Chaos Corpse statue has increased to 5/5. After Zhou finished reading it, he could not help but recall the scene of AUS using this statue to fuse into his heart, allowing him to temporarily obtain the might of an elementary grade Master God tier. So this is what AUS used back then. I remember that the creation of the Chaos Corpse statue is also one of the achievements of the Chaos human race's civilization. However, this technique requires the corpses of the dead Chaos humans as materials. Furthermore, the Chaos humans respect the remains of the warriors who died outside. Therefore, even at the peak of the Chaos human race, such things are extremely rare. I didn't expect AUS to be able to obtain one. The Lord talent that he possesses is indeed closely related to the Chaos humans. Zhou pondered. He pondered for a moment, and did not continue looking at the Master God tier treasures behind. Instead, he took out the Bodhi Supreme and asked, "What happened to the Chaos humans back then?" Chapter 1195, The Myth of Creation. Secret of the Chaos Human Race. Editor. Ada's Ale answer to a formal question. Bodhi Supreme said, "Is that question that expensive?" Zhou asked. "Of course, this is a secret at the level of the Supreme Will. How can it not be expensive?" Bodhi Supreme said, "Secrets of the Supreme Will. Alright, I'll use it." B0X. Zhou asked. "Actually, normally, one wouldn't tell you about this even if you asked me. But now, your combat strength has already reached the level of a Master God tier. You can know a small portion of the secrets of that level. Then I'll reluctantly tell you. I have to start from the myth of creation." The Bodhi Supreme said leisurely. Before the Supreme Great Cosmos and the Crimson Great Cosmos were born, the entire universe was in chaos. At that time, it wasn't Lord Supreme Will or Lord Crimson Overlord who ruled the entire chaos universe, but the Chaos Will. As for Lord Supreme Will and Lord Crimson Overlord, they were the eldest and second daughter of the Chaos Will. Wait, there's also kinship between these will-level existences. Zhou suddenly asked with a strange expression. Relationships are one of the boundless laws. Even among the boundless laws, the law of relationship is in the top 20. Isn't it normal for the Chaos Will, the Crimson Overlord, and the Supreme Will to be related? Furthermore, the Lord Supreme Will and Lord Crimson Overlord were born from the laws of chaos. The two of them are also willing to acknowledge the Chaos Will as their father. It's just that later on Lord Supreme Will was a natural ruler and supreme being, so he caught up and surpassed Lord Chaos Will. That's why it's Lord Supreme Will's world now. Bodhi Supreme did not mind Zhou interrupting him, and explained calmly, "I understand. Continue." Zhou nodded. Later on, the Chaos Will realized that it was about to split the world apart, which also meant its demise. Therefore, it decided to give the authority of his chaos origin to one of his eldest and second daughters before it died. In the end, the law characteristics of the Supreme Will were suitable to be the ruler of the new universe. The Supreme Will gave the authority of him to the Supreme Will. The Supreme Will naturally took over the chaos origin, and used half of the Chaos Will's corpse to derive the Supreme Great Cosmos. Half the corpse? Zhou was surprised. The Chaos Will was dismembered. Yes. Bodhi Supreme's tone was unusually solemn. The Crimson Overlord was extremely dissatisfied with this, because the Chaos Will decided to hand over the authority of the Chaos origin to the Supreme Will. It felt that it was the best candidate to inherit the authority of the Chaos origin. The two of them fought over the authority of the Chaos origin. In the end, the corpse of the Chaos Will that represented the authority of the Chaos origin was split into two. Half of it fell into the hands of the Supreme Will, and the other half fell into the hands of the Crimson Overlord. The two Supreme Wills each used this half of the Chaos Will's corpse to create the Supreme Great Cosmos and the Crimson Great Cosmos. In order to continue fighting for each other's authority, they fought each other, and have continued until now. From now on, I'll talk about the Chaos humans. After the Chaos Will's corpse was split into two, the Chaos human race that represented the Chaos Wills, dependents also suffered a split. Among them, about 5% of the Chaos humans reside in the territory of the Supreme Will. As for the remaining Chaos humans, they changed their name to the Scarlet Chaos Humans, and became the subordinates of the Crimson Overlord, becoming one of its most important subordinates. And because there were too few Chaos humans under the Supreme Will, coupled with the Chaos God's race as a substitute, the Supreme Will did not pay much attention to the Chaos human race, which was already rare to begin with. Hence, the Chaos human race gradually declined. In the end, they could not even hold their coming-of-age ceremony normally. Even though the Scarlet Chaos humans under the Crimson Overlord can have their coming-of-age ceremony, it's actually a coming-of-age ceremony that belongs to the Scarlet Rule. It's completely different from the coming-of-age ceremony under the rule of the Chaos Will back then. It's more murderous and less peaceful. This is also the reason why the Chaos humans you see are so different from the Chaos humans that AUS has. The Bodhi Supreme said. So that's what happened. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Then, he put away the Bodhi Supreme and looked at the effects of the Chaos Corpse statue again. The effect was not bad, but he could not use it. However, he could give it to his subordinates so that he could have another fake Master God tier combat power. Then, he looked at the last notification. The effects of a collector can actually be used here? Zhou could not help but be surprised. Could it be that after using the Chaos Corpse statue once, the collector's talent would automatically replenish the divine blood in the Chaos Corpse statue? He guessed inwardly. He did not think too much about it. It was fine as long as it could be used. Then, he looked at the next Master God level treasure, which was the Master God tier elementary grade array, the 10 Directions Infinite World Formation. This array formation could create an endless world that could be used to seal and imprison enemies. Even if the enemy mastered spatial abilities such as teleportation, they would not be able to escape from this 10 Directions Infinite World Formation. It could even allow the user to move the prisoner's position at will, or directly use the array to suppress the other party. Zhou fight had already been used on the battlefield before, and the effect was extremely good, especially when facing an enemy army. Therefore, he only took a glance before looking at the next Master God tier intermediate grade treasure. It was an ordinary-looking scarecrow with a white patch on it, as if something could be written on it. Treasure name, Fate Scarecrow. Treasure grade, Master God tier intermediate grade, treasure effect. Write the name of the enemy you want to kill on the Fate Scarecrow. After killing the other party, you can destroy the other party's fate together, preventing the other party from using any methods to revive or revive. Treasure description. This is a scarecrow that can curse fate. It contains a terrifying curse power. Zhou looked at the scarecrow in his hand with some fear. As a person who was proficient in hiding and knew many resurrection methods, he was most worried about encountering such items. Fortunately, this item had already fallen into his hands. However, he still had to find more Master God tier advanced grade, or even Supreme God Realm resurrection methods in the future. Otherwise, if he encountered such a tool again and happened to die, he would really die. He was not sure if the Lord of the End's Nirvana could handle such a Master God tier level killing method. Then, he put away the Fate Scarecrow and looked at the next Master God tier treasure. Treasure name, Pseudo Reverse Path Wheel. Treasure grade, Master God tier advanced grade. Treasure effect. A replica of the Supreme Divine Artifact, the Reverse Path Wheel. It can absorb and reflect attacks from any Master God tier advanced grade or below. Treasure description. A divine artifact created by the Heavenly Fire Master God. It can absorb and rebound any Master God tier level attack. Current usage of the Pseudo Reverse Path Wheel. 3/3 prompt. With the enhancement of your Collector Lord talent, the current usage of the Pseudo Reverse Path Wheel has increased to 7/7. Zhou's eyes lit up and showed this treasure was not bad. If it was used well, it might have a miraculous effect. Then, he looked at the last Master God tier advanced grade treasure. Chapter 1196 Upgrading the Territory. Upgrading to an intermediate grade empire. The final Master God tier advanced grade treasure was actually the pseudo sky shielding umbrella. Zhou had seen the effect of this before. He couldn't discover the effect of his concealment even as a chaos human. It could be seen how powerful his concealment ability was. Zhou naturally liked this item very much. He put away the sky shielding umbrella and flew out of the shrine. Then he came to the sky above the divine capital and looked down at his capital. He silently chanted upgrade in his heart. The next second, accompanied by 1,000,000 trillion units of basic materials, 1,000 mid-tier deity-level divine crystals, 500 billion origin crystals, 1 billion units of time and space elemental gems, 20 low-tier deity-level elementary grade territory tokens, and 10 mid-tier deity-level territory tokens disappeared. B0X. Congratulations. Your low-tier deity-level advanced grade shrine, Lord's Law, has successfully advanced to mid-tier deity-level elementary grade shrine, Lord's Law. Your territory has been upgraded to mid-tier deity-level elementary grade. Your low-tier deity-level advanced grade divine origin augmentation formation has been upgraded to mid-tier deity-level elementary grade divine origin augmentation formation. Territory stone steel durability increased to 10 trillion/10 trillion. Your territory has expanded to 1 billion km times 1 billion km times 1 million m. All fog monsters within the territory of the new territory have been expelled. Scarlet fog will not appear in any of your territories. You have received an upgrade reward. Mythical tier building blueprint treasure chest, mid-tier deity level elementary grade. Lord Talent notification. Your Scarlet Brood Mother can be upgraded. Lord Talent hint. Your mysterious caravan faction has increased. Lord Talent notification. The strength of the clergy of your life arc has increased. A strange glint flashed across Zhou eyes. Now that his territory had advanced to the mid-tier deity level elementary grade, it also meant that he could upgrade the Blazing Sun Empire from the beginner empire to the intermediate grade empire. In just 2 days he had done this. This was something that most lords in the myriad worlds could not do. As for the lords who had done so in history, according to his bloodline inheritance, most of them had obtained the resources of the race behind them in advance to achieve this. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for them to advance to the beginner empire and become an intermediate empire in just 2 days. In the myriad worlds, those who could really do this alone were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. He himself had become one of the rarest members. He took a deep breath and did not feel proud. Then, he quickly flew back to the shrine and arrived in front of the golden tablet. Zhou looked at the kingdom's golden tablet in front of him and chanted the advancement in his heart. The next second. Prompt. You have met all the requirements to advance to an intermediate grade empire. Do you want to advance to an intermediate grade empire? Upgrade, Zhou said. Prompt. You have one chance to change the location of the imperial capital. Do you want to change/retain it? Retain, Zhou answered without hesitation. The Blazing Sun Emperor was the place where he rose to prominence. The significance of this place to him was not something that other regions could compare to. To the subjects under him, this was also the origin of the Blazing Sun Empire. It was the root of the hearts of countless subjects of the Blazing Sun Empire. The subjects had extremely deep feelings for this land. Even if it was a true God-tier regional territory, or even a Master God-tier regional territory, he would not exchange for it. Moreover, if he really wanted a true God-tier regional territory, or even a Master God-tier regional territory, he could completely rely on the regional fusion certificate in his hands to fuse the Divine Sun Imperial Capital into a true God-tier regional territory. It was not impossible for him to fuse it into a Master God-tier regional territory in the future. Therefore, he naturally wouldn't change the location of the capital. Prompt. Your choice has been confirmed. Prompt. Your lord's territory, beginner grade empire, Blazing Sun Empire is in the process of upgrading. Prompt. Level up successful. Congratulations, your beginner grade empire's lord territory, the Blazing Sun Empire, has officially been promoted to the intermediate grade lord territory, the Blazing Sun Empire. Prompt. You can display your empire territory level on any channel. Zhou's lips curled up slightly. This promotion was much simpler than the previous one. Hopefully, it would not be difficult for an intermediate grade empire to advance to an advanced empire. The next second, a new Lord announcement appeared on the entire channel. Lord of all races Lord announcement. Congratulations to the human race, the Lord of the Blazing Sun, for successfully establishing the first intermediate kingdom. Rewards. Lord of all races mythical tier treasure chest +1. Intermediate kingdom treasure chest +1. Reputation rating +10. Mythical reputation rating +1. Lord of all races announcement. Congratulations to the human race, Lord of the Blazing Sun, Lord of all races announcement. Congratulations to the human race, Lord of the blazing sun. Seeing this, Zhou smile became even more obvious. He was already prepared for this. When the blazing sun kingdom advanced from a beginner kingdom to an intermediate kingdom, it also triggered this announcement after all. He opened the various channels he was in. He realized that be it the humans, elves, or other races on the Cerulean planet, almost all of them were discussing the fact that he had just advanced to an intermediate grade empire. The humans of the Cerulean planet were fine, since they were already used to how powerful their emperor was. They even felt that it remained only natural that the Lord of the Blazing Sun's name had appeared in the announcement many times. The Lord of the Blazing Sun of the human race on Cerulean planet was so strong that he was ridiculously strong. Wasn't it normal for him to make a few announcements about the races? The lords of the other races had the most intense reaction. For example, the lords of the myriad races in the Myriad Race Lord channel, where Zhou remained the channel administrator. This channel was originally set up by the Supreme, to make it easier for Zhou to do the special event mission of the King of 10,000 Kings. It was to let he unite all the lords of the myriad races to deal with AUS Scarlet Army together. In the end, AUS Scarlet Army had already been taken down by Zhou alone in advance. The King of 10,000 Kings event would officially end tomorrow morning. It was unknown if the Supreme had forgotten, but this Lord of 10,000 Races channel had yet to disband. At this moment, many lords of the myriad races in this channel were chatting crazily in the channel before the channel disbanded, afraid that they would be forced to leave the group in the next second. The main topic of their conversation remained Zhou's upgrade to an intermediate grade empire. It's too ridiculous. It's only been 2 days, and it's already upgraded from a beginner empire to an advanced empire? Until now, the Lord of the Blazing Sun seems to be the only one who has made an announcement on all the lords of all races. If you've seen the video of the Lord of the Blazing Sun fighting AUS Scarlet Army alone, you wouldn't be so surprised. Let me put it this way. The Lord of the Blazing Sun's power is no longer inferior to some weaker high-level bloodline races. I won't believe you, unless you send me a video. Give me a copy. Boss, I desire it too. I've already posted it. Soon. The video of the Lord of the Blazing Sun leading the army of the Blazing Sun Empire to fight AUS alone remained seen by a large number of lords. Then they tumbled silent. Is this Lord of the Blazing Sun really from the same batch as them? Why remain the difference so huge regardless of whether it was the Lord's faction or individual strength? Chapter 1197 Race Divine Artifact, God-Slaying Bloodstained Spear. Requirements for Advanced Empire. Zhou took a glance and turned off all the channels. Then, he first opened the mythical tier treasure chest that had appeared out of thin air. There were 11 bottles of potions quietly placed inside. Zhou took it out to take a look. Among them, 10 bottles of potions were true God tier potential advancement potions that could raise the potential of a life form to the level of a true God tier advance grade. The last bottle was the Master God tier potential advancement potion. Furthermore, when Zhou saw the effects of this bottle of Master God tier potential advancement potion, him immediately trembled. B0X. Calm potion name. Potential advancement potion. Potion grade. Master God tier. Potion effect. After consumption, it can directly raise the potential of living beings below the Master God tier advance grade to the Master God tier advance grade. If the potential of this life form has already reached the Master God tier advance grade, after consumption of this potion, it can allow this life form to have the potential to comprehend will. Potion description. A bottle of supreme potential potion that can sublimate life. It can actually help a potential life form at the Master God tier level comprehend the power of will. Zhou was surprised. The power of will was something that countless true God tier in the myriad worlds yearned to comprehend. The strongest genius of the Titan God race, Iriel, had never been able to comprehend the power of will. It was only when he used a special treasure to temporarily raise his strength to the level of a Master God tier elementary grade, before he died, that he barely comprehended the power of will. This bottle of Master God tier potential advancement potion could actually allow a life form to have the potential to comprehend the power of will. If the Titan God race knew about this treasure, even a race or faction like the Titan God race would go crazy. An existence that had grasped the power of will was very likely to become a clan-protecting expert in the future after all. As for clan-protecting experts, they were top-notch experts that even top-notch bloodline races like the original spirit race valued greatly. Zhou put it away. There were very few treasures that could assist in comprehending the power of will. Even though Zhou did not have much, he was prepared to reward a subordinate he values on another day. He opened the intermediate grade Empire treasure chest beside him and guessed. According to the previous examples, this intermediate grade Empire treasure chest is probably something like a racial divine artifact. The treasure chest was opened as soon as he finished speaking. A broken blood-red steel fork was lying quietly in the intermediate grade Empire treasure chest. As expected. Moreover, it's a part of the race's divine artifact that I possess. Zhou looked at this incomplete race divine artifact and clicked his tongue in wonder. The incomplete blood-red steel fork in front of him was a part of the incomplete spear of Longinus that he had previously obtained. It was called the God-slaying bloodstained spear. From the looks of it, it should be the middle part of the spear of Longinus. Now, he only had to hold one end to complete the spear of Longinus. He did not hesitate. He directly took out the tip of the steel fork from the king's treasure box and fused the two incomplete blood-red steel forks together. When the two incomplete divine artifacts approached, they suddenly emitted a faint blood light. Then, before Zhou could approach, they took the initiative to approach and quickly fused together. Furthermore, there was not even a crack at the interface. It could be said that the fusion was rather perfect, as if it had never broken. Zhou was not surprised when he saw this. He directly looked at the information on the attributes of the spear of Longinus that was incomplete. Race divine artifact name. Incomplete spear of Longinus. Equipment grade. Unique in the race. Race divine artifact ability 1 infinite piercing spear. The spear of Longinus can pierce through any matter and life without any damage. Race divine artifact ability 2. God-slaying bloodstained spear. The spear of Longinus is a god-slaying demon spear. It has a special effect on gods, and can break through the defense of any god spirit's divine body. Even a supreme god realm expert will be injured by this spear, and the other party will be stained with blood on the spear. Race divine artifact ability 3, Spear of Longinus. Unknown. To activate this race's holy artifact ability, you need to collect and integrate the steel fork at the end of the Spear of Longinus. Introduction to Race Divine Artifact. Spear of Longinus, the divine artifact of the human race on Cerulean planet. It is also the god-slaying spear of a mortal. Even a high and mighty god spirit can be stabbed, or even assassinated by a mortal with the Spear of Longinus. After reading it, Zhou's eyes widened in shock. This can actually injure a supreme god realm? Just based on this point alone, it's enough to say that he is a supreme holy artifact, right? As expected of the god-slaying bloodstained spear. This name is really right. He muttered to himself. He could not hide the shock in his voice. This was the first time he had seen such a species holy artifact that specialized in offense. For example, the race holy artifacts he had obtained previously, be it the Xian Yuan divine sword, the lucky star, or the divine artifacts of other races. All of them had the ability to assist the development of races and lords. However, the Spear of Longinus did not have any support abilities, be it the infinite piercing spear or the god-slaying bloodstained spear. They were both offensive abilities. Looking at this trend, if nothing went wrong, the final Spear of Longinus should also have offensive abilities. I kind of like this gun. Zhou looked at the spear and smiled. Then, he thought for a moment and ready to hand it over to Zhou Fight to use. Zhou Fight was the main battle avatar after all. He would definitely like this racial holy relic that only attacked, but did not defend. The Xianyuan divine sword was used by Zhou Manage. As his main body, he used the regal sage Dao sword. As for Zhou Martial and Zhou Tianming, they used the other master god tier divine artifacts that Zhou Zhou had. Zhou Zhou put away the incomplete spear of Longinus and looked at the final reward. 10 reputation rating and 1 mythical reputation rating. In the past, Zhou Zhou might have been very excited. However, he was very calm now. He had high standards after all. Even if a true god tier came and wanted to worship Zhou Zhou wouldn't be too excited. If this bit of mythical reputation rating could attract a master god tier, then he would truly be pleasantly surprised. Then, he looked at the promotion requirements to a high-level empire. Kingdom name: Blazing Sun Empire. King: Blazing Sun Emperor. Empire level: Intermediate Grade Empire. Imperial flag: Day of the Stars, Imperial Legion. Blazing Sun Army, True God Tier Elementary Grade. Monster Army, True God Tier Elementary Grade. Dragon God Army, True God Tier Elementary Grade. 10,000 Races Army, True God Tier Elementary Grade. Heavenly Map Army, High God Tier. Homeland Defense Army Epic Tier. Requirements for advancing to a high-tier deity-level empire. Advancing to a high-tier deity-level lower elementary grade territory. Advancing to a high-tier deity-level territory. 1,000 high-tier deity-level elementary grade divine crystals. Conquering the 3 Crimson Overlords Intermediate Crimson Empire. 0/3. Conquering 2 intermediate grade empires that are not under the Crimson Overlord. 0/2. Conquering any high-tier lord faction and possessing its high-tier deity-level empire token. 0/1. 1 million independent regional territories, 50,000 racial heroes, and 100 divine consecrations of various races. Chapter 1198 Upgrading Territory. Upgrading the Gate of Summoning. True God Tier Army. Heirloom Jade Seal of the Realm. Zhou Zhou first glanced at the ranks of his imperial army. The result made him very satisfied. The few battle-hardened legions under him had all advanced to the True God Tier Elementary Grade after 2 days of bloody battles. Only the Heavenly Map Army and the Homeland Defense Army had not reached the True God Tier level. But it was understandable. One of them was in charge of scouting for information, while the other was in charge of guarding the Blazing Sun Empire after all. They rarely came into contact with large-scale battles. At most, they would clean up the scattered fog monsters around the Empire's territory. It was normal for his level to be low. Then, his gaze landed on the few True God Tier elementary grade troops of the Blazing Sun Army, and a faint smile appeared on his lips. B0X, a True God Tier Army. He muttered to himself. In fact, only Divine Kingdom Lord factions would have an army of this level. Moreover, Divine Kingdom Lord factions that were more proficient in battle would have such an army. He actually already had more than one army of this level in advance, as an intermediate grade Empire Lord. If other Divine Kingdom Lord factions saw this, they would probably not believe their eyes. Zhou Zhou smiled and did not mind. He casually opened the door in front of the army and looked at the army enhancement. Now it was no longer as simple and crude as before in front of a True God Tier elementary grade army. Especially in terms of army enhancements, he had a total of 13 army enhancements. It was much better than the lonely army enhancement, Braveness, in the past. Zhou Zhou opened a few more enhancements and looked at them. Army enhancement, Braveness. Enhancement level, True God Tier elementary grade. Enhance effect. Your legionnaires will be more courageous when fighting on the battlefield. At the same time, their overall strength will be increased by 220%. Legion enhancement, strict discipline, enhancement level, True God Tier elementary grade. Enhancement effect. Your soldiers will strictly abide by the military discipline, and every soldier can accurately and perfectly execute the orders of a higher-level general. Legion enhancement, Heart of the Iron Blood Army, enhancement level, True God Tier elementary grade. Legion enhancement, your army will not be affected by confusion-type laws and skills. Legion enhancement, as many fierce generals as the clouds, enhancement level, True God Tier Elementary Grade, Enhancement Effect. When your generals fight on the battlefield, their overall strength will increase by an additional 100%. It will be easier for your soldiers to train on the battlefield and become wise and brave generals. Legion Enhancement. Accompanying Battle Pet. Enhancement Level. True God Tier Elementary Grade. Enhancement Effect. Your army general can contract an additional combat type pet. The potential of this pet will automatically increase to the True God Tier Elementary Grade until the contract is terminated. After Zhou saw all the Legion enhancement, he could not help but nod in satisfaction. The True God Elementary Grade army was indeed a True God Tier army. These enhancements were all extremely practical and could provide a huge boost to the combat strength of his soldiers. Sure. Then, his gaze landed on the need to advance to a high-level empire. He took a glance and his eyes lit up. I've actually satisfied most of these advancement requirements. Even if I'm not satisfied for the time being, I can easily do it in a day or two. The only requirement that might take a little longer is this first requirement. Upgrading my territory to high-tier deity level elementary grade. Zhou stroked his chin and looked at this requirement. Only then did he open the upgrade requirement for his territory to advance from the mid-tier deity level elementary grade to the intermediate grade. Construction upgrade. 1 million trillion units of wood, 1 million trillion units of fine sand, 1 million trillion units of metal, 1 million trillion units of stone, 1,000 mid-tier deity grade divine crystals, 1 trillion origin crystals, 2 billion units of time elemental gems, 2 billion units of space elemental gems, 10 regional territories of mid-tier deity level god spirits, 20,000 race heroes, 10 mid-tier deity level territory orders. Zhou's eyes lit up after reading it. The materials he had accumulated could indeed support him to continue leveling up. Without any hesitation, he chanted in his heart to upgrade his territory. The next second, accompanied by 4 million trillion units of basic materials, 1,000 mid-tier deity level intermediate grade divine crystals, 1 trillion origin crystals, 4 billion units of space-time elemental gems, and 10 mid-tier deity level intermediate grade territory tokens, they disappeared. Congratulations, your mid-tier deity level elementary grade shrine, Lord's Law, has successfully advanced to the mid-tier deity level intermediate grade shrine, Lord's Law. Your territory has been upgraded to mid-tier deity level intermediate grade. Your mid-tier deity level elementary grade divine origin augmentation formation has been upgraded to mid-tier deity level intermediate grade divine origin augmentation formation. Territory stone steel durability increased to 20 trillion/20 trillion. Your territory has expanded to 2 billion km times 2 billion km times 1 million m. All fog monsters within the territory of the new territory have been expelled. Scarlet fog will not appear in any of your territories. You have received an upgrade reward. Mythical tier building blueprint treasure chest. Mid-tier deity level intermediate grade. Lord Talent notification. Your Scarlet Brood Mother can be upgraded. Lord Talent hint. Your mysterious caravan faction has increased. Lord Talent notification. The strength of the clergy of your life arc has increased. Zhou nodded slightly, then opened the requirements to upgrade the mid-tier deity level intermediate grade territory to the mid-tier deity level advanced grade territory. Construction upgrade. 200,000 trillion units of wood, 200,000 trillion units of fine sand, 200,000 trillion units of metal, 200,000 trillion units of stone, 10,000 mid-tier deity level divine crystals, 500 billion origin crystals, 500 million units of time elemental gems, 500 million units of space elemental gems, 10 lower mid-tier deity level regional territories, 10 lower mid-tier deity level god spirits, 10,000 racial heroes, 10 lower mid-tier deity level elemental grade territory tokens. After reading it, Zhou could not help but feel a headache coming on. He looked at the remaining space-time elemental gems in his king's treasure box. After upgrading his territory twice, he now had more than 2,119,000,000 space elemental gems and 2,020,000,000 time elemental gems left. It was far from enough to upgrade his territory. This was a total of 10 billion spacetime elemental gems. Where could he get it? Previously, during the battle with AUS Scarlet Army, he had only obtained a total of 6 billion spacetime elemental gems. Moreover, the most important thing was that the King of 10,000 Kings event was almost officially over. All that was left was the reward. Next, he had to prepare for the new event. So he couldn't take the time to conquer the various countries in the high continent to gather the spacetime elemental gems. At the thought of this, Zhou could not help but take a deep breath. Looks like I can only wait until the new event begins, and see if I can think of a way to gather enough spacetime elemental gems during the new event before upgrading the territory. He thought, "Oh right, I almost forgot to look at this reward." Zhou suddenly remembered that he seemed to have forgotten to check the Supreme Treasure Chest reward and the latest glory of the Pioneer X title information after his territory leveled up to the mid-tier deity level elementary grade. He opened the Supreme Treasure Chest first. There was a seal quietly placed inside. The jade seal was light green in color and had a radius of 4 inches. The top button was connected to the 5 dragons, and the front was engraved with the words, "Receive the orders of the heavens, and live forever." Heirloom Jade Seal of the Realm? Zhou's eyes widened and looked over Race Divine Artifact name. Heirloom Jade Seal of the Realm. Equipment grade. Unique in the race. Race Divine Artifact Ability 1, Execution of Words. Living beings who possess the Heirloom Jade Seal of the Realm are the supreme emperors of the cerulean planet's human race. They can possess the ability to command the laws in the territory of the cerulean planet's human race. Once the holy word is spoken, all laws will be respected. Race Divine Artifact Ability 2, Ordered by Heaven. Creatures with the Heirloom Jade Seal of the Realm possess the status of the Heavenly King. No matter what life form they face, they will not be suppressed by the other party. Moreover, their luck will increase greatly. When fighting the enemy, you and the soldiers under your command will receive an additional 100% increase in combat power. Race Divine Artifact Ability 3, Eternal Longevity. As the holder of the position of the Heavenly Emperor, the lifespan of you and your subjects will greatly increase. When you receive damage, the recovery speed of your injuries will also greatly increase. The providence of you and your lord's faction will be protected by the Heirloom Jade Seal of the Realm. You will encounter more lucky things in your life, and you will be immune to most fate-type attacks and curses. Introduction to the Race Divine Artifact. The Imperial Seal of the Human Race on the Cerulean Planet. The owner is the Orthodox Emperor of the human race on the Cerulean Planet. The execution of words is ordered by the heavens to live forever. Good. They're all good abilities. Zhou's eyes lit up. Then, he looked at the new title. Title, Glory of the Pioneer X. Title Quality. Unique title of the race. Title Effect 1. Your name has spread far and wide among the lords of Cerulean Planet. More people admire your reputation and desire to join your territory. The number of subjects that can be summoned by the Gate of Summoning every day plus 1000%. Among the subjects summoned, there are professional talents of the same level as the territory plus 11. Title Effect 2, same as before. Title Effect 3, when you become the first lord of Cerulean Planet with a high-tier deity level elementary grade territory, this title will be upgraded to Glory of the Pioneer 11, and more title effects will be unlocked. Title Introduction, same as before. Not bad. Zhou nodded slightly. From today onwards, he could summon 11 mid-tier deity level intermediate grade god spirits every day. Even though it was nothing to him, a mosquito leg was still meat. Then, he came to the Gate of Summoning and spent some materials and divine crystals to upgrade the Gate of Summoning to the mid-tier deity level intermediate grade. Congratulations! Your Gate of Summoning has been successfully upgraded to a mid-tier deity level intermediate grade building. You can summon 200,000 subjects every day. You will summon 10,000 professionals every day. Prompt. under the influence of the unique title of the race, Glory of the Pioneer X. The number of subjects you can summon every day has reached 21,655,000. You will summon 10,011 professionals every day. Zhou nodded slightly after reading it. The number of subjects summoned by the mid-tier deity level intermediate grade gate of summoning was 2,165,500. After being enhanced by the Glory of the Pioneer X, the number of players increased by 10 times, becoming 21,655,000. Then, he looked at the upgrade requirements of the Gate of Summoning. Construction upgrade. 10,000 trillion units of wood, 10,000 trillion units of fine sand, 10,000 trillion units of metal, 10,000 trillion units of stone, 10,000 divine crystals of mid-tier deity level. Territory level upgraded to mid-tier deity level advanced grade. Zhou took a look and pulled back his gaze. Then, he returned to the shrine and prepared to possess a chat with Mu Gu and the others to familiarize him with the latest effects of the Lord talent. Now that he territory had won 2 consecutive rounds, Mu Gu's abilities should possess greatly improved. At the believed of this, Zhou could not help but look forward to it. Chapter 1199 Lord Talent Improvement. News of the Elven Empire in the Shrine. Zhou and Mu Gu were having a virtual video conference. Now that your territory has been upgraded to mid-tier deity level intermediate grade, tell me about your respective upgrades. Zhou sat on the throne and said to Mu Gu, Zheng Fugui, and Carol Moeli with a smile. Yes, Your Majesty. The 3 of them said in unison. Then Mu Gu was the first to speak. Reporting to Your Majesty, the Scarlet Brood Mother currently has advanced from low-tier deity level advanced grade to mid-tier deity level intermediate grade. B0X. Com. The number of Mist Mothers evolved from the mid-tier deity level intermediate grade Scarlet Brood Mother has increased from 70,000 to 150,000. Every Mist Mother's Mist Mother world can now nurture 500 million fog monsters. 150,000 Mist Mothers can nurture a total of 75 trillion fog monsters. In addition, the quality and efficiency of cultivating high-quality Scarlet Heirs has also increased. Currently, I can at most nurture a high-tier deity-level God-tier Scarlet God Spirit. This process will take about a day. If I want to nurture a mid-tier deity-level Scarlet Descendant, or a low-tier Scarlet Descendant, I can nurture 10 mid-tier deity-level Scarlet Descendants, and hundreds of low-tier deity-level Scarlet Descendants in a day. Zhou was pleasantly surprised. Could he actually nurture more than 100 descendants of the Scarlet God Spirit in a day? After the territory was upgraded to the mid-tier deity-level intermediate grade, the Scarlet Brood Mother actually improved so much. When will you be able to nurture a true God tier? Zhou asked curiously. It's very difficult for a mid-tier deity-level Scarlet Brood Mother to nurture a Scarlet True God tier. I estimate that only a high-tier deity-level Scarlet Brood Mother can nurture a Scarlet True God tier. Mu Gu thought for a moment and replied, Sure. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. His territory was at the mid-tier deity-level intermediate grade, and he was not far from the high-tier deity level. At that time, he would be able to create a true God tier. Then, he thought for a moment and said, Of the 150,000 Mist Mothers you have, 30,000 are left behind to nurture the Iron-Eating Bear and the Withered Tree. The other 120,000 Mist Mothers, 60,000 will be used to nurture the Violent Storm Demon Spirit, and the other 60,000 will be used to nurture the Yellow Talisman Dao Soldier. 120,000 Mist Mothers could nurture a total of 60 trillion ranch monsters. With the help of the King of Loots, he could obtain 90 trillion Yellow Talisman Dao Soldier recruitment books, 90 trillion Yellow Talisman Dao Soldier class change certificates, 90 trillion Violent Storm Spirit recruitment books, and 90 trillion Violent Storm Spirit class change certificates tomorrow. If he converted all these recruitment books and class change certificates into new recruits, it would be a total of 360 trillion soldiers, which was 360 trillion soldiers. When Zhou thought of this, The smile on his face was about to overflow. He only had a total of 150 trillion troops. This time, the number of new recruits summoned was more than twice the total number of his troops. Anyone who heard of his recruitment of troops would probably say that he was terrifying. According to this recruitment speed, I'll have a quadrillion troops under my command in 2 days. Zhou felt a sense of pride. AUS 50,000 odd Crimson Kingdoms, and millions of Crimson Kingdoms, only added up to 8,000 trillion. Now, even if his efficiency in recruiting troops remained unchanged, he could still recruit a total of 8,000 trillion troops in less than a month. As my strength and faction continued to increase, the effects of the Scarlet Broodmother's mythical tier unique lord talent also become stronger and stronger. I even feel that he is not inferior to my talent as the King of Loot. Zhou sighed inwardly. Yes, Your Majesty, Mu Gu said respectfully after hearing Zhou's words. Then Zheng Fugui said respectfully, Your Majesty, now, the number of mysterious merchant has increased from 300 million to 1 billion, after the territory upgraded to the mid-tier deity-level intermediate grade. The number of carriages transporting goods has also increased to 1 billion. All of us mysterious merchants' force has also increased to the mid-tier deity-level intermediate grade. Our treasure hunting ability has increased again. In the future, when we go out to do business, we should be able to bring back at least 100 treasures each time. Moreover, the standard of each gem is comparable to a god-tier treasure. Zhou clicked his tongue. 1 billion god spirits. Only the mysterious caravan could produce such a terrifying god spirit team. If it were any other lord faction, even if it was a divine kingdom lord faction, they might probably not be able to produce so many god spirits. Perhaps an overlord-level lord faction would have so many god spirits under them. Perhaps an overlord-level lord faction might have so many god spirits under them. Zhou lamented in his heart countless times. After Zheng Fugui finished speaking, Carol Moeli smiled and said, Your Majesty. Your Majesty, after the territory has been upgraded to the mid-tier deity-level intermediate grade, our life arc already has 5 trillion clergymen, 5 trillion priests, 5 trillion nuns, and 50 trillion life holy knights. These clergymen are enough to complete the war-healing missions and resurrection missions of quadrillions of troops. Also, currently, there are 100,000 high-level members of the Life Arc God Spirit. Every one of them has mastered the resurrection spells, and they can resurrect the deities of our country alone. As for my strength, I'm still at the true God tier intermediate grade. My force hasn't improved yet. I can only revive existences below the Master God tier level. It's already very good. Zhou comforted Carol Moeli. In any case, he didn't have any Master God tier God spirits under him at the moment, so he didn't need him to revive the Master God tier. Then, Zhou and company chatted for a while before ending the virtual video conference. Not long after they left, Wu Tu suddenly requested to see them. After Zhou let Wu Tu in, Wu Tu immediately knelt down and stated respectfully, Your Majesty, there's new news from the original Elven Empire. Shoot, Zhou said. Ever since the collapse of the original Elven Empire, it has been divided into 3 parts. Currently, the scattered soldiers who only care about escaping have been found and killed by the behemoth Divine Kingdom's army. The original Elven Empire soldiers who fled to the other Elven Empires were all taken in by the Ash Elven Empire. The other Elven Empires also wanted a share of the loot, but the Ash Elven Empire mobilized collectively and forcefully snatched the remnants of the original Elven Empire from the other Elven Empires. Zhou raised his eyebrows. Ash Elven Empire? The weakest Elven Empire among all the Elven Empires, but once had the only Elven true God tier? Yes, Your Majesty, Wu Tu stated respectfully. Why is the Ash Elven Empire so desperate? Zhou asked. According to the intelligence gathered by the Heavenly Map Army, the reason why the Ash Empire is so desperate is because the heavily injured Elven Mother Tree, Seagates, is with these fleeing soldiers of the original Elven Empire. The Ash Empire probably wants to welcome the new true God tier of the Elven Mother Tree and become the new true God tier of the Ash Elven Empire. That's why they're fighting so hard. Wu Tu stated respectfully. Zhou nodded, not minding one bit, because there was only one thing that he cared about. Did you get Nadia's relic? Zhou asked. I've already got it. It's currently on its way back. It should be delivered tomorrow. Also, I found out that Elizariel's remnant forces are also rushing to us with Nadia's remains. Wu Tu said. Zhou nodded calmly. Chapter 1200 Discussion and Decision. Behemoth Emperor Collier. Nadia's remains. Zhou had mixed feelings, even though he looked calm on the surface. Elizariel came with Nadia's remains probably because she wanted him to owe her a favor, so that he could help her. Of course, it was also possible that she just wanted to send it to him. However, no matter which possibility it was, he would still owe the other party a favor. As Zhou thought about it, his eyes gradually became firm. If that was really the other party's motive for coming, he could owe the other party a favor, but he would never help the Elven Empire deal with the Behemoth Divine Kingdom. B0X. Calm Zhou was naturally not afraid of the Behemoth Divine Kingdom, as a newly established beginner-level Divine Kingdom Lord faction. If he wanted to destroy it, he could almost easily do so. However, the Blazing Sun Empire had no enmity with the Behemoth Divine Kingdom. In addition, their territories were quite far away, so Zhou was not interested in attacking the Behemoth Divine Kingdom. Most importantly, Zhou did not want to become a sharp blade in the hands of others and help them deal with the other party. That would make him feel like he was being played by the other party. No one would like that feeling, including Zhou. If Elizariel comes to see this emperor with Nadia's remains, this emperor can meet him. Zhou thought for a moment and said, Nadia was a good friend of his, so he couldn't let her remains wander around. Furthermore, if the other party really suggested that he help the other party deal with the Behemoth Divine Kingdom, he would not agree. He would compensate Elizariel in other aspects at the very most. Any more and it would be impossible. Yes, Your Majesty, Wu Tu said respectfully. How are the people of foreign races around our territory recently? Are there any signs of them wanting to attack us? Zhou asked casually. Your Majesty, the people of foreign races around our empire, including some powerful empire-tier lords and races, are all very low-key at the moment. They don't dare to provoke our country at all. However, there are many alliance masters who seem to be afraid that we will attack them. Almost all of them have formed an alliance in a hurry in the past few days. However, even if they had formed alliances, they didn't show any signs of attacking us. Wu Tu smiled. He felt very proud to see these people of foreign races cowering with a powerful country, like the Blazing Sun Empire as his backing. He was proud of the strength of his country, and the strength of his lord. Zhou smiled when he heard that. He had the confidence to destroy even a beginner-level Divine Kingdom lord with his current strength as a lord. He also had the courage to fight head-on with an intermediate-grade Divine Kingdom lord. He did not plan to provoke an advanced Divine Kingdom lord. The most powerful people of foreign races in the surrounding areas of the Blazing Sun Empire were only Empire-tier lords. It would be strange if they dared to show their fangs to him. This was the benefit of being powerful. They formed an alliance just to protect themselves, and had no intention of attacking them. It wasn't like the alliances he met in the past, where most of them had bad intentions towards him. This emperor understands. Continue to pay attention to the news of the surrounding people of foreign races. Zhou said. Yes, Your Majesty, Wu Tu said respectfully. Zhou nodded. Then Wu Tu left. Not long after Wu Tu left, Zhou Manage, Zhou Fight, and Zhou Wu arrived. Main body, let's discuss the upcoming new activities. Zhou Manage said. Sure. Zhou nodded. He had the same intention. The four of them then started chatting. The new event is called the Lord of the Races. If I'm not wrong, it should be the activity of the Lord of the Races of the Cerulean planet's human race, not the entire human race. Otherwise, some weak lords of all races would probably not be qualified to participate in this new event. Zhou Manage speculated. The other three nodded. The leader of the races, should be the activity of making the lords of all races the leaders of the races. If a lord of all races was backed by a top-notch race faction with a master god tier god spirit, such a race naturally would not allow the weak lords of the myriad races under their command to suddenly become the leaders of their race. Even if the lord of all races was willing, the original leaders of such a top race would not be willing. Needless to say, many members of a top race often became lords of all races. He couldn't possibly let so many lords of all ethnicities suddenly become the leaders of their races because of an event, right? Then the myriad worlds would be in chaos. The Supreme will definitely wouldn't want to see this either. I haven't been back to the cerulean planet in a long time. Zhou Manage sighed. I want to go back to Earth. Zhou Fight said with a faint smile. Me too. Zhou Marshall smiled. I want both of them to go back, Zhou said with a smile. Then he said seriously, let's not joke around for now. Let's get down to business. It will be considered walking out of the high continent and fighting in the myriad worlds if the new event really returns to the cerulean planet. Even though the four of us can barely be considered to have the combat power of 4 master god tiers, we won't be in a good situation if we face the sneak attacks of more master god tiers. As for the master god tier that the 10 holy protection lord talent can invite, I don't scheme to expose this trump card until the last moment. Therefore, I plan to participate in this event as a mortal lord at the beginning of the new event, so that those top bloodline ethnicities who want to handle with us won't be able to find us for the time being. No problem. That's what I thought. That's what I contemplated too. Zhou Manage and the other two nodded. Then this matter is decided for the time being, Zhou asked. The others had no objections. Then, they did not have any intention of chatting. This was a speculative meeting about the new event, so there was nothing to talk about. By the way, there's one more thing, Zhou said. Send an invitation to the master god tiers of the high continent, and even the myriad worlds. Tell them that we can use a master god tier divine artifact as the price to hire them as the master god tier offerings of our blazing sun empire. They only need 100 years to become offerings of the master god tier. As long as you're willing to come and worship the master god tier of the blazing sun empire and sign a contract, once the contract is established, we can give the master god tier divine artifact to the other party on the spot. The new event was about to begin. No matter how much Zhou and company desired to avoid fighting enemies at the master god tier level, they could probably eventually encounter enemies at the master god tier level. In that case, he might as well make preparations in advance. Using a master god tier divine artifact as the price to hire a master god level expert to be the worshipper of his empire's master god tier. He believed that very few master gods in the myriad worlds could be able to resist the temptation of his. In any case, he wasn't lacking in master god tier divine artifacts anymore. What he lacked was a master god tier divine artifact expert who could use a master god tier divine artifact and was willing to stand on his side. All right, Zhou Manage nodded. I'll handle this. Zhou nodded. After that, they chatted for a while more before Zhou Manage went to do something. Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu. One went to the time world to comprehend the Lord's laws, while the other went to the time world to find experts from the past to sharpen his combat skills. Zhou, on the other hand, was in his cultivation room, improving his supreme sacred body by refining the Lord Talent Crystal Fragment and the Lord Talent Sphere. At the same time, about 10,000 kilometers away from the blazing sun empire, a dark purple amethyst behemoth battleship that looked like a purple diamond was standing in the interlayer of space, concealing itself. Inside the battleship, the king of the behemoth divine kingdom, 19:41 Collier, was sitting upright on the amethyst throne, listening to the intelligence report of a white-silver behemoth below. The king of the behemoth divine kingdom, Collier, who was already more than 10,000 years old and was about the level of a true god-tier elementary grade, was an amethyst behemoth. At this moment, he frowned deeply after hearing the intelligence report from the white-silver behemoths below. Chapter 1201 Mythical Tier. The only Lord Talent, King of Undying. You're saying that Elizariel has already brought the remnants of his army into the borders of the Blazing Sun Empire? He asked. Yes, Your Majesty, the white-silver behemoth said carefully. If nothing goes wrong, they should be able to reach the territory of the Blazing Sun Empire tomorrow morning. Can't we go after them? Collier asked. I'm afraid not, Emperor. Even though they haven't reached the borders of the Blazing Sun Empire yet, they're already within the perimeter of the Blazing Sun Empire. The other side has led the remaining troops into the perimeter. Because their military strength is weak, and they don't have many experts, they won't be able to threaten the Radiant Sun Empire. The Radiant Sun Empire's garrison won't be vigilant and do anything because of this. However, if we lead our army close to the perimeter of the Blazing Sun Empire's territory, the other party has every reason to think that we're going to wage war against them. B0X. Calm. Once the other party catches hold of this reason and doesn't let go, we'll have provoked a huge enemy for no reason. The white-silver behemoth said. Anger flashed across the amethyst behemoth's face. However, when he thought of the video of the battle between the Blazing Sun Empire and Aus Scarlet Army, his anger inexplicably dissipated. And he even felt a little afraid. The Blazing Sun Empire was able to defeat AUS Scarlet Army, so he was naturally no match for them. Not to mention the Behemoth Divine Kingdom. Even if 10 Behemoth Divine Kingdoms fought the Blazing Sun Kingdom together, victory might not necessarily belong to him. There was indeed nothing wrong with what the white-silver behemoth said. It was better not to make such a great enemy for the Behemoth Divine Kingdom for no reason. Everyone, what are your thoughts? If you have any, tell me. Collier looked at the more than 100 ministers with the yellow gold tier behemoth bloodline, and more than 10 ministers with the amethyst behemoth bloodline below. Even though he felt that he couldn't defeat Elizariel, he was still unwilling to watch Elizariel escape. As the only possessor of the original elven bloodline of the elven race, Elizariel had extremely high potential. It was even possible for her to grow into a main god tier in the future. Letting such a formidable enemy escape made him feel uneasy. The behemoth ministers were silent for a moment. No one spoke. Facing a behemoth like the Blazing Sun Empire, they really couldn't think of a way to eliminate Elizariel. After a long silence, an aged amethyst behemoth stood up. His true god tier aura was faintly discernible. He seemed to be a true god tier expert who had just broken through to the true god tier and had yet to stabilize his realm. Your Majesty, I have something to say, he said with an old and powerful voice. Please speak, Master D. Collier hurriedly said. This person was the teacher of his father. His name was Gertch. He still had to treat him with respect even if he was the current behemoth emperor. Your Majesty, Guerki said, it is an irreversible fact that we are unable to enter the borders of the Blazing Sun Empire. It's said that the common people's regal has some friendship with Elizariel to begin with. I think that tomorrow, the common people's regal will most likely accept Elizariel and the remnants of him. I think there are 2 ways to deal with Elizariel. Then, he told Collier and the ministers his thoughts. After Collier heard this, he pondered for a while before nodding. Fine. In this situation, we can only do this, he said. Then he thought to himself, I hope that common people's regal is willing to give me face. The next day, in the reincarnation sacred palace, Zhou, who was sitting cross-legged on the divine artifact mat, slowly opened his eyes. He looked at his divine body and felt the supreme god realm runes imprinted in it. He nodded slightly. I used up all the Lord Talent crystal fragments and most of the Lord Talent spheres, and finally raised the supreme sacred body to the true god tier intermediate grade in one night. However, upgrading a small level at the true god tier level consumes so many Lord Talent materials. It is really heart-wrenching to part with them. At the thought of this, Zhou's heart ached. So many Lord Talent crystal fragments and Lord Talent spheres were lost. How many Lord Talents would he awaken if he were to use them to awaken the Lord Talent? However, his brows relaxed, and his eyes became firm again. The Supreme Sacred Body is related to the creation of the Master God Tier Lord Talent, the Invincible Constitution, the ability to awaken the adaptability of the Lord talent in a special environment, and various other abilities. It feels good to use it to awaken Lord talents, but I'm afraid I'll have to suffer in the future. Those who don't plan for eternity are not worthy of a moment. Those who don't plan for the overall situation are not worthy of a region. I must cultivate this supreme sacred body. Zhou was extremely determined. Of course, that was not the point. The main point was the environment that the Bodhi Supreme had mentioned previously. Even though the Bodhi Supreme did not answer him directly, it was precisely because of this that Zhou felt very uneasy. The Bodhi Supreme was unwilling to elaborate. The level of this secret must be ridiculously high, and it also represented ridiculous danger. If one day, he really reached a dangerous environment that even the Supreme Will could not control, perhaps the Supreme Sacred Body that could create an adaptable Lord talent would be his only life-saving straw. Therefore, he had to cultivate the Supreme Sacred Body. In any case, in the current situation, the 30-odd Lord talents on he were enough to deal with it. At the moment, he was not lacking any Lord talents. Then he would use them all to cultivate the Supreme Sacred Body. Then, he took a look at his newly awakened Lord talent after a night of cultivation. This Lord talent was also a mythical tier unique Lord talent. Lord talent. Undying King, mythical tier, unique. Specific talent effect 1, indestructible body. Even if you are reduced towards 1 drop of blood, you can instantly be reborn in your peak state with this drop of blood. Specific talent effect 2, embrace of fate. You are protected by the law of fate. No curse of fate below the Master God tier level can curse your fate. Specific talent effect 3, child of rebirth. You will automatically obtain a resurrection opportunity once a day. Specific talent effect 4, endless reincarnation. Your will contains an independent law of reincarnation. When all your resurrection methods seem ineffective, you will obtain a brand new life source and eliminate all traces of reincarnation. You will enter a reincarnation that belongs solely to you and be randomly reborn in the myriad worlds. You can likewise preserve your memories and talents from when you were alive and help the reincarnators grow quickly. Unless the universe is destroyed, you can reincarnate infinitely. Specific talent effect 5, void will. When your law of samsara disappears, you shall lose everything and become an eternal, indestructible but powerless void will. Zhou appeared stunned as he looked at the second effect of embrace of fate. Could this Lord talent of the Undying King be derived by the Supreme Sacred Body? After I saw the Fate Scarecrow yesterday, and appeared afraid of the Fate Scarecrow's killing effect. Zhou muttered towards himself. Chapter 1202, Meeting Elizariel. That's most likely the case. A smile appeared on Zhou's face. It had to be said that even though the cultivation of the Supreme Sacred Body consumed a lot, the effect was also extraordinary. This was only the beginning of his cultivation, but it had already provided he with 2 mythical tier unique Lord talents that he needed very much. In reality, even if he had the help of the Bodhi Supreme, he might not be able to find these 2 Lord talents that were extremely suitable for him. As a Lord who pursues noble development, the Lord talent effect of this King of Immortality suited his intentions too well. However, this wasn't what excited him the most. B0XO. What excited him the most was that the event rewards for the King of 10,000 Kings would be given out today. According to the past, the rewards should be officially distributed at 6 o'clock. Zhou muttered to himself. Then he looked at the time. It was only 5 o'clock, an hour away from 6 o'clock. Zhou was about to head to the Scarlet Brood Mother, when Zero's voice suddenly sounded. Your Majesty, Elizariel and the remaining elves led by her have arrived at the territory of the Blazing Sun Empire, and are applying to meet your Majesty. Zhou raised his eyebrows. She's actually here at this time? How many remnants of the Elven Empire did Elizariel bring? How many god spirits and true god tiers are there? Zhou asked curiously. Less than 10,000. Besides the high-tier deity level Elizariel, there were no other god spirits or true god tiers. currently stationed at an uninhabited plain outside the capital. Zero said. Zhou smacked his lips. The miserable Elizariel. She was a top-notch Empire Lord faction that could fight the behemoth Divine Kingdom for the throne. Who would have thought that not only had the Divine Kingdom's battle for the throne failed, but even their own Lord faction had fallen to such a state in just a few days. With such strength, it would be difficult to establish a kingdom. The victor was a noble, and the loser was a bandit. Get Elizariel here alone, Zhou said without thinking too much. Yes, Your Majesty, Zero said. The next second, Elizariel suddenly appeared in front of Zhou. It was Zero who had used spatial teleportation to teleport Elizariel over. Elizariel was stunned when she teleported into the shrine's main hall. Then, she saw Zhou sitting on the throne. Elizariel greets Your Excellency Common People's Regal. Elizariel's heart was filled with complicated emotions, but in the end, she still lowered her once arrogant head and spoke respectfully to Zhou. But in the next second, Zhou raised his hand and made her raise her head that was about to lower. You and I have some friendship. There's no need to be so polite. Zhou smiled. Elizariel's heart ached. For some reason, this simple sentence made her feel aggrieved, indignant, terrified, and panicky. It was as if all the negative emotions in her heart were about to erupt at this moment. She almost teared up. Thank you, Common People's Regal. Elizariel forcefully suppressed her emotions and bowed slightly to him. She was very grateful to this Common People's Regal. Grateful that this Common People's Regal had preserved some of her former dignity, for her who was now in dire straits. This emperor already knows about your situation. Tell me, what do you have in mind for me? Zhou went straight to the point. Elizariel opened her mouth, but no words came out for a moment. She originally wanted to ask the Common People's Regal for help and borrow his troops to let her lead an army to counterattack the behemoth Divine Kingdom. However, at that moment, she found it difficult to voice her thoughts. Moreover, so what if she really led troops to counterattack the behemoth Divine Kingdom? After this failed battle for the throne of the Divine Kingdom, Seagates, the mother of the elves, was severely injured and snatched away by the Ash Elven Empire. After this battle, Octavel also left her kingdom and announced that she would have nothing to do with the Elven Divine Kingdom from now on. Another true god of the people of foreign races, who had originally planned to become the worshipped true god-tier god spirit of the Elven Empire, immediately refused to be the worshipped god spirit of the Divine Kingdom of the original Elven Empire, after seeing the original Elven Empire being defeated. The failed battle for the throne of the Divine Kingdom had caused all of her backers to fall. More than half of the soldiers of the original Elven Empire had died. The huge number 1 Elven Empire was reduced to ashes in the blink of an eye because of her ambitions. Under such circumstances, was she really going to forcefully retaliate? Was she still qualified to continue fighting with the name of the original Elven Empire? The more Elizariel thought about it, the paler her face became, and her body began to tremble. Perhaps she was in a hurry to escape when she came, so she did not have time to think. Now that she was resting, all sorts of thoughts surged into her mind, causing Elizariel to instantly sink into extreme self-blame and despair. Zhou frowned slightly when he saw her expression. This Elizariel, why did she suddenly give off a despairing aura? At this moment, Elizariel's aura returned to normal. Then she took out a spatial ring and held it with both hands. Your Excellency Common People's Regal. Elizariel knows that you have some friendship with my hero, the Bloodfire Arrow Elf Nadia. However, this war was too dangerous. I couldn't protect Nadia. Instead, Nadia died at the hands of the true god tier of the behemoth Divine Kingdom to protect me. At this point, Elizariel's eyes couldn't help but turn red. She still couldn't forget the scene of Nadia rushing in front of her and helping her block the attack of true god-tier behemoth. Inside this spatial ring are Nadia's remains and relics. I'm here to deliver them back to His Majesty. With that, she stopped talking. Zhou waited for a while. He couldn't help but raise his eyebrows, seeing that she really didn't say anything else. She actually didn't say that she desired to ask for help. He could clearly tell that the other party had the intention to say this. Why did she suddenly change her mind? He contemplated for a second or two before raising his right hand. He saw the spatial ring in Elizariel's hand fly into his hand. Zhou gently stroked the spatial ring in his hand, and could not help but sigh. Nadia told this emperor a long moment ago that her life was given to her by you. She is also willing to sacrifice her life for you. Even though she has died in battle, she will definitely not regret what she has done for you. He stated lightly, Nadia is a true hero, and I am an unqualified and failed emperor. I don't deserve a hero like Nadia. Elizariel lowered her head. Even though Zhou had different opinions when he heard this, he sensed lonely at the moment, and had no intention of saying anything else. This emperor will revive Nadia, he said after a long silence. Really? A glimmer of light finally appeared in Elizariel's dim eyes. Of course, I'm not joking. Zhou nodded. Nadia is so lucky to have met an emperor like you. Elizariel stared blankly at Zhou. This emperor also feels very lucky to have a loyal friend like Nadia. Zhou smiled faintly. Elizariel was stunned for a moment before smiling. Then my business is over. I'll take my leave now. Zhou glanced at Elizariel for a while before nodding slowly. Have a safe journey. Thank you, Your Majesty. Elizariel left. After Elizariel's figure completely disappeared, Zhou suddenly said, Wu Tuesday. Your Majesty. Wu Tu's virtual projection quickly appeared in front of Zhou. Yes, Your Majesty. What can I do for you? Keep an eye on Elizariel. Inform this emperor immediately once there is any news about her. Yes, Your Majesty. Wu Tu stated respectfully. Zhou nodded and waved his hand to turn off the projection. Then, he sat on the throne and began to ponder. Elizariel's situation before she left bestowed him a bad feeling. However, he didn't think too much about it. His relationship with the other party was not deep to begin with. His deepest camaraderie was during the faction quests. She still owed him a mission reward for helping her raise her ranking. Now that the event was over, this mission reward was equivalent to invalidated. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to care too much. He shook his crown and stopped thinking about it. However, at this moment, his personal terminal sent another virtual video call. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.